Welcome to the Independent Characters, episode 195. This is Carl.
This is Josh.
This is Josh.
This is Jody.
Now even you're doing it.
Can we redo that?
No. Stay it in there. Hi, Jody.
Hi. No, that was intentional.
And
This is Adan.
hey, welcome, Adan. Yeah, you weren't. You were in town for the
I am in town for the Renaissance Fair.
Renaissance Fair.
Yep.
So we took this opportunity to
Gonna
drag
be
you
teaching
into this.
fencing at the.
Thank you so much for joining me, guys. This episode, we're going to be discussing Kill Team, its expansions, and thoughts on where we'd like to see it go. We're calling the episode Kill Team Evolution, as things have changed over a period of time, and we're still playing the hell out of the game. So we really, really enjoy it. So let's launch immediately into Elite Choice. This is where we take a look at the best thing we saw from the IC's community in the last few weeks.
And Carl, I have a question first.
Yeah.
Who is this episode sponsored by?
Great question, Adan. Thanks for reminding me. This episode is sponsored by our Patreon member, John Troutman, actually.
The man,
Wow.
the myth, the legend.
Yeah. Old
Thanks, man.
old player who plays with or played with Doug till we stole
Yeah.
him back again.
Sorry, you're lost, but at least you get to sponsor an episode.
There you
Down
go.
in the
I'm gonna
heart
a bonus
of
shout out to
Texas.
John again on air for throwing me those Necron dice. What a guy!
John's
What
a
guy.
pretty cool guy, and he has been a Patreon sponsor from the beginning, and I really appreciate it, man. So thank you so much, and we appreciate all your support. Okay, Elite Choice. How about I go first? Because I chose Bastion Volgasberger for his Forge World Wraith Seer.
Oh yeah.
Yes, well
Swing.
deserved.
The reposing on this model is stunning. Like, he did a fantastic job. The funny thing was, he was posting updates as he went along. And clearly, this is the first Forge World model he's dealt with. And he complained about the fine cast that Forge World sells. And we're like, this is not fine cast.
It's
That's
resin.
just resin.
This is high quality resin, buddy. Work with some fine cast and then let's talk.
Yeah.
And he clearly did not enjoy working with resin as a medium.
I couldn't tell by looking at the model, though.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Grief.
Really great job.
Yeah, well done, man. I mean,
And
just a beautiful race here.
The faceplate, the way
Yeah,
he
that's
painted
incredible.
So good.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Really nailed the pose on
we
that, too.
just see, this is a model that you're going to put on the table. It's going to be unique. It's going to
Oh, yeah.
look unique, even if you're facing off against another race here. So.
Right.
Josh, how about you? The
I
real
went-
Josh.
I went with Stephen Triadophyllidis' Sanguinary Guard. I only put one there in the show notes, but it's a kit bash of the Sanguinary Guard. It's not just the standard GW kit. It's amazing paint job. Like, the power weapons especially are exquisite. Really, really neat modeling on there. It's not the nipple plate armor that
I
is
see
the,
your note there.
Yep, the standard issue Sanguinary Guard from the GW kit. I'm guessing these are 30K.
They look like 30K,
resin
yeah.
that
Yeah, I
he's
think so.
kit bash models out of using the standard.
Man, they're
I'm not
sick
actually
looking.
sure because I'm not paying attention to 30K as much these days. But he just did a great job, and this he did a whole unit of them. So there's several more in there. Some beautiful banner work and the tabards and everything. Just
It
great job.
almost looks like that's a third-party helm or something.
I think you're right on
Yeah.
that.
That banner is something else,
That
too.
is,
It's just
that is
gorgeous.
a
Way to go.
nice work, man.
Yeah, nice job, Steven.
Jody.
Yeah, I went with, and mine's a work in progress. It's not finished, but my goodness, I can't wait to see this thing finish. Dave Gormley, also, this is a little nod to you, Carl, working
Yep.
on his limited release Sister of Battle. He's painting her up. He's got some close-up shots for his work in progress on her face, which he did just a fantastic job on the scarring and some earlier posts. But the black armor he just finished up, and he used some blue highlights, almost
blue
like
to
a,
what?
deep a midnight blue armor.
really nice. The
Really
tabard and
beautifully
stuff.
rendered. And with all the talking about painting black armor that we've been doing over the last few months, just a great example of what that can look like to work some colors in.
Yeah, and as I talked, like, I even posted on this thread about it, I was like, you're just killing it with that black armor. I mean, that looks fantastic. I struggled with this exact technique that he's doing. And he said, oh, yeah, you got to just keep at it. I've spent X amount of hours on this. And I was like, yep, and I'm out. There's no way I'm going to do that across an entire army.
Right.
Did he, I missed it. Did he say what color he's going to do the bolter?
I haven't followed.
Because it would be
that
really
closely
cool
yet.
to see him use the traditional red bolter case as a kind of counterpoint to the blue.
Yeah, depending on the
parallel,
base
yeah.
balance, it would be interesting to see how that color could
But
play.
man, that is a great looking.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, and I love that's an effect I've been enjoying personally quite a lot lately. Is playing in the many tones of black.
Yeah.
And Dave, you did a beautiful job.
Really nice.
I really
Absolutely.
can't wait to see it finished. Yeah.
Adan?
I picked Sterling Schroeder's Inktober efforts. Inktober is a thing they do every year for artists to practice different techniques with their pen and ink drawing. You're supposed to do a different ink drawing every day of the month of October. They actually have like their own Facebook group and stuff, and they give you prompts that you can use if you need inspiration. Jeremy Dale and some other professional photographers, Sarah Kaiser, a lot of the professional artists use it, but also a lot of amateurs use it as ways for inspiration. And Sterling did a few 40K inspired pieces. He's just been, they're fun. They're really fun. They show a lot of skill, but they also have a lot of playfulness to them. And we talked a little bit later about some of his other ones, but and I made some comment about an Inquisition one or a Sisters one. He did a Sisters one. I think it was today or yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just really fun stuff, and it's cool to see people practicing their art.
Yeah.
And
If you hadn't picked this would have been my pick. These have been just an absolute hoot. A little later on, we'll behind the curtain. A little later on, we'll reference the one he did with the orcs being out of teeth, and then I think today was the marine,
cartoons.
the marine playing with the termagant and rolling
but
like a
ones.
Don.
All ones. Yeah.
hey,
Australian sixes.
hey,
Oh, offside. Sorry. Yellow card for me.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's just incredible. There's just such an incredible amount of good work going on, a variety of different types of work. I'm glad you recognized the Inktober stuff, because that was it's brilliant. Like,
And I did want to give a shout out to Jeremy Haugen. I felt bad because their GW store in Sioux Falls lost its roof
oh my
in
god,
a storm, so they're not doing Armies on Parade.
Oh yeah.
So
I
sorry,
saw him
guys.
post that today.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
This is.
Well, hey, ours nearly burned down.
Yeah,
so-
that's right.
I think this is the first time we've done everybody picked an art piece. I honestly don't think an elite choice. Listeners can check back if you are really into nerding it up. But all four of us picked an art piece. I think in the past we've always had somebody picked just a personal post or something, which is not to say we don't like the personal posts as well. Those are great. And a Dawn shout out is right on point there. But man, the scrolling through the community page, always inspiring.
Yep.
And thanks.
And
for
also,
those.
dude.
nobody named He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yes. Heck with that guy and his Titan.
Yeah,
that
I know.
looks awesome.
Jeremy.
For Rebels.
What? I didn't say the last name. Would I? I wouldn't do that.
All right.
One quick thing I will say is check out the Facebook group right now, because so many cool Armies on Parade boards are being
Oh,
posted
yes.
there. But
Yeah.
I was already locked in, but I've just been like really enjoying seeing people's efforts and all the modeling and the theming and everything coming into those. So
Hobby at the highest level.
There was one
great
where
stuff, everybody.
the orc board moves. It's like a
geez.
conveyor
Oh my
belt.
God,
yeah. With the
I haven't
buggies
seen that
on
one
it.
yet. Oh man,
All
I'll
right.
live for that.
Hobby excited? Yep.
Last but not least, check out our Patreon page if you're interested in all the special features we offer there. I don't know how to top the
That's exciting.
elite choice. This was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, hey, let's just launch right into the show.
Fantastic.
Hey, this is Big Nasty B from Life After the Cover Safe, and I'm at a mall talking to strangers about Table War. Table War develops some of the most innovative products for the miniature wargaming and hobby industry.
And I develop pictures.
That's great. They develop things like the Fat Mat.
Who's Matt, and why is he so fat?
Well, first off, Mat is not a person. The Fat Mat is a tabletop gaming surface, and with over 40 different designs, Table War's Fat Mat has become a community standard.
I got a Surface Pro. It's like 10 inches. By the way, I'm meeting my friend Simbon. Do you know what that is?
No, but I do want to tell you about the Table War Tower case line.
Oh man, towers are so huge.
Well, it's not that kind of tower. It's the original modular, all-in-one display storage and transport system for all your tabletop miniatures.
Wow, you're really smart. What's your relationship status?
Well, it's complicated, but you know what isn't complicated?
Chili dogs.
This is true, but also the Macromat.
Oh geez, not that guy again.
The Macromat is a one-of-a-kind, innovative photography backdrop, perfect for collectibles, hobby miniatures, and small works of art. Its durability, portability, and functionality in one inexpensive product.
I wasn't paying attention to what you just said, but do you validate parking?
No, I do not. But if you want more information, head over to tablewar.com and check them out.
Let's kick it off with a little bit of hobby progress now that we're done talking about mustaches and beards.
Wow, it does. No preamble, just jump right in.
Yeah, let's just jump right into that. So I'll go first. I have actually started laying down base coats finally on my Black Legion, thanks to Colin, who kind of got me over the hump. And here's the funny thing: once I started doing it, I was like, "Why did I wait so long to do this?" Right. I mean, I knew it wasn't hard. It was just difficult for me to find that right color. You're committing, as Josh said.
Right? Yeah.
You're committing to a huge
thing.
endeavor.
Right.
So
you got to do the groundwork so that by the time you're actually putting the work in there, like you've done your research, you know you're going to be happy with it.
Right.
You don't have to.
it's gone fast. I mean, as soon as I started, it was, an hour or two.
Now, how many test models did you do before you decided, yes, this is what I want to do?
3.
Yeah. Now, did you do different size test models, or were they all infantry?
They were all infantry because I knew I was going to spend a lot of time on infantry.
Because I noticed,
that's, like, the bigger models, I didn't actually have much of an issue with. It was the infantry that I was struggling to find the right combination of colors to get to black.
But are you not using the same formula for the larger things like the Hellbrutes and the Knights and stuff like that?
Yes, but the issue for me is the Black Legion have so much filigree and stuff on them.
The infantry do, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of hides everything else. So I wanted to make sure that whatever base coat I gave them still was worth giving an infantry model.
Yeah.
And now Josh has been talking to me this afternoon about doing an oil wash.
Got to do that oil wash. It's going to look real good on that army.
You're shaking your head, Jody. No?
I just haven't done it. I
haven't done it yet either.
Yet.
It scares the hell out of me.
Quite
frankly, because I want to do it on Aeronautica.
I want to do it on
it'll look great on
my Minotaurs. I think that will look solid.
They'll call it, yeah.
Well, whenever you're ready to go for a test model,
let's do it.
We'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, Doug does it all the time too. So.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people, and Colin even did a video on his Patreon about how to do it.
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe we can do like one of the Saturday days you set up for AT or something. We start with some oil washing, and everybody brings one thing they can oil wash.
Yeah,
or whatever.
It's super easy to try, and just bring a test model. And
I don't know what your guys' situation looks like going into holidays, but like I'm finally not going to be traveling anywhere. I'm going to have actually some free time. I don't know what your situation is.
I know I get to come up for air. The last, as we'll get it into the last month has been
look, I think everybody's has.
No, I mean, admittedly, your month has been hold my beer to my month, but like,
you're a teacher, dude.
the stark difference in my schedule has been unpleasant.
Well, I mean, it's interesting when I was prepping for the show and looking at Jody's hobby progress as compared to other shows that he's been on. I'm like, whoa,
what happened?
Well, no, I know what
Jody
happened.
started working.
Yeah, I was going to say the
real
semester
life
started.
Summer's over.
Yeah, the semester started.
Yeah, it sure did.
So started laying that down. I've got half of them done. I'm going to do the other half as well. And again, that'll only take a couple hours, I think, for me to get to that point. And then it's starting in on the reds and golds and browns. And they did a tutorial in White Dwarf month before last, showing how they did a glow effect on Terminator eyes.
Yes, I saw that.
Totally going to do that
nice.
too.
Yeah.
So doing this, the other thing I noticed was I used my, I didn't use my Badger brush. I used my Sotar 2020.
Oh yeah, the detail brush.
Yeah, it was so much easier to, especially on infantry models, get to where I needed to get. It was just smaller needle on that brush that I have.
Yeah, infantry, I never use the Patriot. I always use the Sotar.
It's just a little too aggressive.
Yeah.
So did that. So thanks, Colin, for kind of getting me finally over the hump there. I'm very happy with the way it was going too.
Yes. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah. Thanks. So we can finally hear some freaking
we can all move on now.
Yeah. Can we all please move on? Also, I wanted to thank Trevor Goddard, who is a longtime listener. Doesn't even play 40K anymore, but still listens, but happens to have the 2 Forge World Aeronautica Imperialis Forge World books.
Oh, nice.
And he's given them up to me. So he's mailing them over to me, which super cool.
Super.
Somebody in the Discord had talked about, well, you're really missing out by not trying the new one. Oh, I'm going to.
Right.
Like I absolutely am going to. I'm totally interested in that. I think I just kind of want it as a piece of history in a way, but when we cover it, we will cover both those systems and kind of do a comparison. So
that'd be great.
That's what I'm looking forward to. And then for purchasing, I just bought the Kill Team Thousand Suns box set. I can't remember what the actual title of the group in there is. And then I bought Kill Team Arena because we were going to talk about it, and I don't have it, and I've made some assumptions, and turns out my assumptions are pretty spot on. So it's about exactly what I thought. But the interesting thing about the Thousand Suns Kill Team boxes is all Terminators in it, which is
interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll show you guys later, but the sprue is like a blue plastic.
Yeah,
the
that's
orc one's the same way.
Is it green?
It's
the orc
green,
one?
and
I
it's all
figured.
flash kits.
I think it's primarily to, if people aren't going to paint, they have a different color.
This is kind of the way they're going with Underworlds and a lot of the other things.
Yeah.
All the easy to build stuff is already kind of pre-colored.
Colored.
Yeah, if you look at the Primaris Reavers,
Yeah.
And the other easy to build stuff, they're
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all ultra green blue.
And we'll talk about the kind of the contents of those boxes and why I actually went ahead and bought that box as part of the research.
so, if you make the show an LLC, that's tax deductible, right?
Yeah, that's true. That sounds like a lot of work too.
Yeah, it does.
So that was me. Mostly, I'm just excited about finally moving forward on the Black Legion.
So are we.
All base
So
coat.
say we all.
Yeah, exactly. All base coat, and then we'll move on to the golds, of which I'm using scale 75 gold.
That's the best.
Worked with Colin to go over that too. And when I saw him do it and it's like single cover over black, I was like, what gold is that you're using, Colin?
Yeah, and they airbrush beautifully.
Yeah.
I just recently did something metallic. Stop looking at me. It wasn't Knights. Josh is looking at me that it's Titans.
It's
It
not
wasn't
Adeptus
Titans.
Titanicus?
It was not AT. All the things you just mentioned were on my laundry list of excuses why I haven't hit AT
It's fine.
yet. But
We're gonna
So-
miss you Sunday.
yeah, you are.
You're,
'cause
Like I told Tom,
definitely-
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
that's offsides, man.
Yeah.
So is that the scale 75 airbrushing?
Yeah,
Sure. This
beautiful.
is not the paste consistency stuff they have. They do
Out of
have
the
a-
bottle, it's really thick, so you want to use the scale 75 thinner specifically.
Okay,
But when you mix
right.
it with that, it is beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the pigments are just
They're super
to
thin.
mine are much finer.
Yeah.
And I'm using out of the bottle. Yeah, and it's one of the few paints I'll go through the hassle of thinning through my airbrush, especially with the Sotar's fine needlepoint. But
Crank up the PSI.
I do that too. Ken of Badger, his fat kids through a door metaphor is fantastic for that. So. Well, you either got to push harder or get a bigger door. It's one or the other. So.
Josh, you're up next. What have you been working on?
All right. So I've this year's been interesting. So I gotta collect myself real quick.
Okay.
I've been just working on a wide variety of projects, and feeling like while I've been getting a lot done, I feel like I've been making strides in 3 different systems at a time.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I really just need to sit down, focus, and like get some projects done. So one thing in preparation for playing Apocalypse, the new version of Apocalypse, is like I've been wanting to finish off the last few Necron models that I have, because I've got almost 500 power level worth of Necrons. Like I've got a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
And there's just a couple things, and it's all the fun stuff that's left, all the Forge World things that are left. So along those lines, I built the Night Shroud Bomber, which I've been sitting on that model for about 3 years unbuilt. So I built it, got it primed, and that'll paint up pretty quickly. I got the new Invictor Tactical Warsuit, which is the new Primaris, not Dreadnought.
Is that the one where it can hold the pistol?
Yeah.
I like
So
it.
how does that help you with the Apocalypse Necron thing?
That's just I'd already purchased that,
The rule of cool is how
so
it
I needed
helps.
to build it.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
You were talking about saying single focus, and then you like jump
Yeah,
for
no,
first thing.
which
yeah.
I mean, there's a trend here. It's just been my hobby ADD for.
And this is for
6
which
months.
army?
So was going to be a dedicated Primaris Marine army, and then I came to the conclusion that I'm going to add Primaris to the Sharkadon. So this will go Sharky.
Okay.
It's gonna be fun. And
Are you going to keep the same paint scheme for the Primaris that you do for the other? Or you're going to alter it for the Primaris?
I am going to keep it the same. I need to rebase the entire army.
Oh gosh.
Which it's
not that bad.
It's not that big of an army. Oh, I mean, well, it's big in points. It's not big in models because there's a lot more vehicles in it since it was an older Marine army, and now vehicles.
Sure.
Don't see the table that much. So Primaris will be a fun addition. Towards the Sharkadons also, I built 3 of my 6 aggressors that I have been working towards, because those models are
The aggressors are.
they're really good. I actually really like the models though, and it's like for me, from what I was thinking of what I wanted to add to that army, that's Primaris, but it's not bringing something that my army already does.
Right.
Is a dedicated unit like that can both shoot really well, but also has punch in combat. Because the Sharks are really a combat-oriented Marine army. So that kind of
having that flexibility.
It fills a nice hole that army actually has on the tabletop.
For sure.
Then I also got the Palatine Enforcers, the Necromunda, the cops.
They look so
they're not
good.
cops. They're rent-a-cops.
They're rent-a-cops.
They're security guards.
Private security.
Are they firemen, Adan?
No, they're private security. No.
Are they firefighters?
No, because they work more than 2 days a month.
They're private security. They're not the Arbeites.
Sorry, Robert.
Yeah, they're...
To all the firefighters out there.
This is a joke we were talking about.
It's adan.tahada@gmail. I don't think that's your address, actually.
Somebody's getting a lot of hate mail.
Hey,
I
thanks.
love
Not me.
firefighters. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
They're always around when you need them.
So I built up the enforcers there in preparation for Necromunda happening early next year.
I got to tell you, those models look amazing.
Yeah.
They do look really good.
Me and AJ have been talking quite a bit and working on getting a slow build, low key Necromunda campaign going.
Well,
Nice.
Ed's painting my Goliath guys. So
With all the rainbow
the pins.
Sharpies.
Yeah,
The rainbow. That
was a great post.
yeah. Just ship them back.
Well, it's funny because somebody, was it Troutman? Somebody posted a things recommending these other lining
Yeah, that's the same
pens.
post,
That-
yeah.
yeah. They haven't arrived yet, but I ordered the set of the white, black, and gold one just to try them out.
I think those are used a lot in
Gundam stuff.
Gundam stuff.
It's a Japanese company. It is for panel lining and stuff for Gundams. But they look like they're really, really good. I got the extra fine tip because I think they'd be really good for adding things like scroll
Maybe,
work,
yeah.
and putting like the squad numbers on knees and things like that.
Yeah,
sure.
So
Yeah.
cool.
So that's just the built stuff. Painted. It's actually I haven't been on since the live show, so it's been a little
I know.
Painted, I got the my two Castus Knights ready for Sunday's Adeptus Titanicus game.
Yes.
Want to take them for a test drive. Austin
some.
They
is
look
working
so
on his
cool.
also. They're great models. They seem
good on the table
to be a bit overpowered on the tabletop. So this is me taking them for the test drive and actually seeing how I feel.
Okay.
And
I
Austin
bought some too.
Austin finished his also. So we'll at least have them on each side of the board so we can compare and contrast and
Cool.
see how fun they are to have on your side and also
Who's
against.
coming Sunday? Is it Austin?
Austin, you, me,
Wait,
and
Austin Lynn
Aaron.
or
Lynn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You, me, and Aaron.
Yeah.
Okay.
2
versus 2.
Yeah. It's
Finally.
happening.
Finally. Swear to God, if one of those guys calls in sick,
Yeah. Someone's getting sick.
that's it. That's it. They're out.
Yeah.
They're out.
They're just
I don't care if I have the flu.
Changing the
I'm
locks.
playing.
making it happen.
Yeah.
No more 3-player games.
I already couldn't make the Blitz Bowl thing because I got sick. I don't want to get sick
going
of
around,
anything
man.
else.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Sentry Pylon.
Necron Sentry Pylon again, just painting it up towards the apocalypse readiness.
Is that the big one?
It's the smaller Sentry Pylon, so it's 6 inches tall or so. I already have one of those painted up, ready to go. So this is just painting up a second one that I've had base coated again for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
So it's just redoing the base coat, touching up the details.
Okay,
getting that ready.
another painting question. Sorry.
Yep.
Now, one of the things that I like to do if I have two exactly the same units, I like to paint them just slightly differently, so it kind of gives some visual variety. Are you going to do that? Or are they going to be painted exactly the same?
They same color scheme, but
Yeah.
they are slightly different shades because the orange that I was using 5 years ago
No
doesn't
longer
exist
available.
anymore. So
Okay.
it's close enough that
Yeah.
I'm fine with
Was it the foundation one?
it. It was a blend,
Then nope.
which was using part of the foundation.
I
But
say I have a few bottles I just found of old foundation paints. No, it's not the Macrite Red.
I have a bunch.
I have one of those.
know you do. I'm whittling through mine as I finish my sister's. But yeah, I was going to say if it's that I do have a couple bottles of that. I think.
I'm good with the new color. It looks good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
I had to redo the metallics for the army too because the metallics I was using don't exist. But the new ones are way easier to mix. Look great. So I'm okay with the new stuff being slightly different. But on an apocalypse size table, it's gonna
You're never gonna
blend in
notice.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. 2 more Warhound Titans for Adeptus Titanicus. Also,
Jeez
I built up.
Louise.
Wow.
How many
Built
do you have
painted.
now?
4. I have 4 Warhounds total now.
Okay.
So these, I was actually finally able to successfully get a really nice checkerboard effect on.
Oh,
So
okay.
I cut out vinyl at work. We have a vinyl cutter. So I was able to cut out a really nice checkerboard pattern, apply that over that. So I gloss varnished the model after I painted the base coats, and then I put that vinyl on there, sprayed my checkerboard on there, and it looks cool. And that was one thing I was really missing on what I wanted to bring to my army.
Neat.
So this technique is doing that. So I'm going to probably go back and do some of my other Adeptus Titanicus stuff to add more of that white checkerboard.
Nice.
To go with the Force, because the Legion has a good amount of that. And last thing for me was the Quake Cannon.
Yeah.
Which
What is that?
It's an Adeptus Titanicus weapon for the Warlord Titan, and this is the one.
Okay.
You get from Forge World.
Right.
Yeah, it's a Forge World specific one.
Yeah.
If you go back a couple episodes, actually, when we did the Adeptus Titanicus episode,
Yeah.
this was the one I was saying I could not get. I've been trying to get for probably 2 months.
Then it came out and sold out again.
Then it came out, sold out again. Now everything's in pretty good stock right now, so
so
they
now's the
seem
time
to
to
have
do
caught
it.
up. So
Good times.
forgeworld.co.uk.
Forgeworld.co.uk.
It's a good time to buy your Forge World
Okay.
Adeptus Titanicus stuff. And last but not least, I read Spear of the Emperor, which I enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you have not read it yet, Jody.
Nope.
So 3 of us at the table
Yep.
read it.
So no spoilers, please.
Shell was a huge fan of it.
Oh, yeah.
Really enjoyed the perspective of the main character.
Yes.
Or I guess, yeah.
She's the main character.
She's
Well, the
the main
narrator.
character. Yeah, the narrator.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Like overall thoughts on how was the book? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really liked the perspective that it showed of the different chapters interacting with each other.
Uh-huh.
You actually get more of that chapter personality that really came through well. The Chaos guys were not mustache twirling bad guys. They had a lot of personality, and it was pretty neat interactions between that, and then even the history that they touched upon of the different chapters. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I thought it was really well done.
I think the thing that I appreciate about that book in particular, and if I'm being fair, it's not my favorite Aaron Dembski Bowden book.
Sure.
I'm still Talon of Horus.
Yeah.
Black
Oh, yeah.
Legion.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite. I enjoyed it tremendously though. But the thing I appreciated the most about it was the picture he depicts of what's going on the other side of the Cicatrix Maledictum.
Yeah.
Because if you read all of the 40K books and lore of the game books and that kind of thing, like it doesn't really get across just how screwed up it is.
Yeah, no,
it's completely post-apocalyptic on the other side, which is just
they're in a bad
fascinating.
place.
They're in a bad,
Yeah.
And
It's
that-
over there.
So that specifically is what kicked off that conversation that I was having with you guys, that it was like, I really want to dive deeper into exactly what's going on that other side and in the most current future history of 40K.
Right. I think that I agree with your characterization about the Chaos dudes, and it really shines through that he's spent a lot of time writing about chaos.
For sure.
Right. And so it's clear that he doesn't look at them that way. So he already has fully developed ideas of them being actual characters, actual beings.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a really nice piece of that book
I
as
can
well.
see why it took so long to write.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I'll be honest, that Black Library book, so Spears of the Emperor, has me more interested to read anything really from Black Library than frankly any release in quite some time has. One, it's Aaron Dembski Bowden, so I know, just based on word of mouth, it's
going to be good.
It's a good product as far as quality of writing, which is usually one of my stumbling blocks is because of what I do for a living. It's hard for me to read fiction a lot of the time. But yeah, that exactly what you touched on, Josh and Carl, that notion of the other side of the void. And I've been going back and reading, the fall, the Rise of the Primarch series and looking specifically in the codexes I've got of the new edition of how's the story moving forward? How's the story moving forward? So hearing that's a big focus has me that'll probably be part of my holiday reading is to check it out. Yeah. Cool. I'd like to check that one out.
Cool. Well, good. That's a heck of a lot. Jody.
Well, we'll go from feast to famine here. All right. Actually, Josh, you reminded me of one other project that is kind of a big project. I don't think I've talked about it yet. Nope, that's not the one. So Basing. You mentioned rebasing.
Oh, yeah.
I started the great 25 purge on many orc boys.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
That's
I was
right.
like, oh shoot, I did start that. That project will compete with you, Carl. Rebasing orc boys may go longer than getting paint down on Black Legion
Or rebasing minotaurs.
or rebasing.
So,
Okay, that's
question
fair
for
enough.
you.
Yeah.
2 questions.
Yeah.
One, do you have in mind what you're going to do for your sisters? Because they're going to 32s.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay.
They were already pinned, so that's
Okay, well, that was my second question. Pinned or not pinned?
oh, my orc boys.
Yeah.
Not pinned.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no, that's why it's a pretty epic project. It is literally chopping, hacking, and cutting away bases.
Yeah.
The one in a bajillion boys that's an old metal boy that has a tab. Man,
Yeah.
those are a blessing because it's 2 cuts and the base falls off. Every single other one of them, it is very careful, tedious hacking.
Yep.
I am buying.
It could be
multiple.
worse. They could be Eldar.
They could be. That's
Yeah,
To
true.
this-
remove
yeah.
Eldar from something.
The connection point on Eldar would be smaller though.
Yeah,
so
true.
I'd be because the orcs have big old feet, so
Yeah.
working around their
Less glue to
old
cut.
flat fit.
But with the
yeah.
Eldar, you just
Every
snap
once in a
all
while,
their
I'll
ankles.
find one that I use super glue, which is all I use now for bases.
Right.
Man, that's great because the guy just
Pops
pops
off,
right
yeah.
off. I've only killed about 5 or 6 dudes' legs and glued those back together. So that'll be going on for a long time. And then realizing also that I can't just like wholesale rebase the army because there's so much stuff that isn't in need of a new base. Def Dreads,
Oh, right.
Killicans, Orkanaut, Morkanauts and Gorkanauts. Anyway, so that's on. And then
So it's going to make it harder then to rebase because you have to match the existing bases, or are you going to?
if I cared, yeah, I would have to. I have a lot of. I can get close with. Luckily, I have a nearly unlimited supply of sand where I live. So
Yes, you do.
And
by the beach.
Yeah.
you might have some.
so actually,
Take only pictures, leave only footprints.
that's right, and a cup of sand. Most people don't. It's always on the boards. If you look closely at the beach, it says "and a cup of sand."
It's in Sharpie.
Yeah, I put it there. Silver Sharpie though.
Silver Sharpie.
Yeah, so I with some sand and some paint, I can get pretty close. Luckily, they have painted bases, even though it's a grit foundation. It's painted. But then last time I was on, I talked about finishing up a Keeper of Secrets from Creature Caster, their Pincer Demon. Holy geez, was that a long road to completion to get that guy done?
Yeah.
He's been
So good.
sitting.
Those eyes.
Yeah,
Those
that was fun.
eyes.
That was weird. I hadn't painted proper eyeballs in a really long time. I mean, where it's the white, the white, the black, the color in the pupil of the eye, the glint on top of the pupil
looks
in the
so
color
good.
in the eye.
It looks so good.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I hadn't done that in a long time. I'd forgot how much fun it can be. Now, admittedly, that's a greater demon. That's not an infantry person I'm trying to do that on, which I don't have any burning desire to go back and
But it looked
do.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to see a model that had sat on my paint table for almost a year.
Yeah.
Get finished, and it was interesting looking back and seeing it.
Yeah. How does that feel? Actually,
I don't know. I'll tell you when my AT stuff gets painted. Beat you to it.
Well, I was looking at your next note here. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, no. That you'll note my next up hobby whim says nothing about AT. I keep going back to. I know it sounds ridiculous, and Carl kind of guffawed at it last time. Honestly, there's something about the Titanicus models I find intimidating. Also, I have one.
I agree.
Hey, there we go. Thanks, buddy.
I actually for the Warlord, I agree. Everything else, I wasn't having an issue with, but that Warlord is a project.
I'll be honest. The more you're moving forward with the Black Legion has me thinking that a lot of
That
it
it's
is like
possible.
There's hope.
There's hope. If he can do it, I can do
well,
it.
and some projects are this way, you guys. I mean, we all know it. We've all had the project that this demon sat there on my desk, purple for a long time, and it wasn't as weird as it is. It wasn't until I went back and sprayed him completely blue, and then painted him purple all over again that suddenly I liked him.
Yeah.
And it had to do with some deeper color tones and things.
I do deeper issues that you had with demons. And
No, those I wear proudly right out in front.
You should see the new White Dwarf that just came out. The Slaanesh demons in that.
Oh,
It's a beautiful
yeah.
photo job.
Oh, I'll have to
It's
check that out.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so the AT thing, I don't know when that's happening, but because my schedule is what it is
I was
now.
noticing it's right there on your next up.
No, next up, hobby whim, whatever.
And
Carl typed it in as we were talking.
And no, I didn't update mine. I guess I'm not gonna. It's
There, you can use mine.
I don't, and it's funny. It's not that I haven't been hobbying. It's just because my play schedule is so erratic. Getting a proper game of 40K in right now.
Yeah.
And even though I'm not going, Josh is scheduling regular Adeptus Titanicus events. I've been running Blitz Bowl events.
Yeah.
Right.
There's been other smaller game things going on.
Yeah.
So what and where to approach things has been difficult.
Time has been tight for everybody lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, there is something to that. Once you know what you want to do and it kind of all comes together, it happens.
Yeah.
And part of it is actually, I know what color scheme I want to do for my Titans, but I don't know. And I also don't have my Patriot brush, which is a big concern.
Yeah.
I only have my Sotar, so doing all the under
Yeah.
skeletons
Yeah.
without the Patriot is I don't want to clean my Sotar that many
Where's
times.
your Patriot?
I let Cliff borrow it to learn with, and he's got it indefinitely, which is great because he's using the holy snot out of it, which is great. But it also means I don't really have that brush right now. And it makes for a really good excuse.
Yeah, I was
can
going to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Josh
I
off
like
my
it.
back.
I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah, I let somebody learn on my brush. But that's it. It's really
That's
I
very
painted-
altruistic of you.
Yeah, that
To
is
put
my
your-
long-winded way to say I painted one model. That's really what that
It's
was.
great, actually. And a beautiful
I
model.
can
It is.
loan you my Patriot Extreme, if you'd like.
That's not the right one. It's,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
actually, I'll take you up on that.
it's too extreme.
It's too extreme.
It's too extreme. No, I'd take you
It's
up
so
on that
funny
in a
because I
heartbeat,
see
I'd like to use that
I
brush.
can't look at Keeper of Secrets and not think Kiefer of Secrets for some reason. I don't know why. But I had a question for you though about demons because I saw that Josh printed out a demon for your demon board.
No, but yes.
Yeah, it's right over there. That's
What is I didn't know about this thing.
So, oops. So I said I've been doing hobby, but I haven't been doing 40K hobby.
oh, okay. So it's not a 40K thing.
No, it's an old school. Like I've suddenly, maybe this is my early midlife gamer nerd crisis. I've been really interested in vintage, like really first edition-y, second edition, sorry, Dungeons and Dragons. Basic Dungeons and Dragons, and then I saw this 3D print on demand Rocket Pig, I think is the company. And it's there he is. That's awesome. I just looked.
Oh, you hadn't seen it?
No, well,
Oh.
I'd seen what it looked like. I didn't realize it was here.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is that, Carl?
the classic Player's Handbook cover idol that the Did
right.
Lizard men are on, and the guys are all, and the thieves are on top prying the eye out of and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty
So
good.
Carl stood in line and bought it when it came out originally. That's how old he is.
No, I have a full size version of it.
it's
in the garage.
I saw Dr. Foss painting one up on his painting clinic and was like, that's really cool. Although, now that you say it, maybe I will have to print a second one, though, to make some demon terrain. Oh, that's
Well, I was
so
thinking
great.
because I was wondering if you were going to do something like an army on parade style board for your demons.
Man, I'll leave that to Colin for now. I don't know. The Army on Parade thing, I think I would care too much too soon about. Like, I don't know. That's a project. I don't know.
Well, you have until next year because
It's just happening now.
It's happening now on the 19th of October.
I think that falls in that category of not wanting to return back to competition painting right now. I mean, someday maybe.
You know what? Though? I don't look at it as competition painting because I see it more as community, as like a community celebration event. Because there's going to be
with a winner.
well, right. Except that there's all these different levels of things out there, right? That people are going to be bringing, and so to me, I see it as you come to the store and there's all these boards and all these armies, and I see it more of as a celebration of our hobby,
Right.
And what people want to show off, and you have people all the way from 13-year-old guys are throwing their quickly painted or they're not very skillfully painted because they don't have a lot of experience. Ultramarine guys on there, all the way up to people like Israel, who basically people don't want to walk in the door because they know who already won.
Right.
But I mean, you have that full range of stuff, and it's not about. I mean, I would love to enter not because I think I'm going to win, but just because it's great to be part of that kind of celebration of the hobby.
Right. And I think I agree with everything you said, and I think it is that. I think Armies on Parade conceptually and functionally should and it is that.
Yeah.
Much like going to a backyard barbecue where people are going to be drinking if you're an alcoholic isn't the hottest idea, depending on where you're at in your recovery.
Yeah.
I have a pretty wicked competitive streak that I have to kind of really carefully monitor. And for a number of years, I chased that dragon and have no desire to now. So for me, that's awesome. I'm really stoked to see what people do, but walking in that door would instantly become unfun for me. The instant I started doing
Interesting.
Be like Adan buying more Magic the Gathering cards.
Maybe as I am. I was gonna say for me, yeah, that too, because I thought
I
we
was
had
never a
thing
big addict to that.
Okay, well, I
It was
was.
the first step
Yeah.
to recovery is
admit
admitting
you
you
have
have a problem.
Well, so
Game of Thrones cards, yeah.
oh, right, there you go. Yeah, so with competitive painting for me,
Interesting.
That's not
Interesting.
It's
That is
just
interesting.
a very
I think
clear
that's a
like I
very-
don't want to do that.
No, I think it's an excellent perspective. I mean, I know that Jason, the guy who's the manager of our local Warhammer store, he really is trying to pump it up as kind of a community thing. And
Yeah, I think
and
that's
I was
great.
like, man, I really like that kind of outlook on it.
Uh-huh.
But then, Josh throws in with the winner.
Well, while you're talking about that, let's talk about what you've been working on, Adan.
Oh, yeah. I haven't been on for a little while.
No,
And I didn't put everything on there.
thank God.
Well, because a lot of the stuff I've been doing, I realized as I was starting to write stuff down that, oh, that's not 40K. Oh, that's not 40K. Oh, wait a minute, that's not 40K. So just the 40K stuff. I got to the point finally where I'd been through enough boxes where I knew where stuff was.
Everything was organized.
No. So one of the things,
unboxed.
one of
organized.
the things that I was trying to do was get all of the Marines in one place,
Right.
so I could get this next piece, which is getting the whole chapter out on the table at the new place, because I hadn't had it all out for a while. I had gotten a bunch of Beaky Marines from, sorry, Bishop, but a bunch of Beakies from Adam, and I knew I wanted to do a whole company that was just Beakies. And so I was able to get those guys in there. I knew that I had picked up a couple boxes of Devastators and a couple boxes of Assault Marines to fill in some gaps. So I wanted to get it all out on the table.
Yeah.
See, basically it's like a visual Kanban board, right? To go back to the note from the editor in the White Dwarf article about Kanban boards that you posted about. Cool article.
Yeah.
Mystery influencer. And so
I'm also an Instagram model.
so
I'm not following that.
No, sorry. Yeah, no. So what I wanted to do is get it all out there and then start working on actually advancing beyond just saying, yeah, I have all this stuff. So one of the things I needed to confirm was, did I actually have enough Terminators, right? And enough veterans to actually make the first company complete. And turns out I do, which that's cool. So I can actually get that part of the project moving along a little bit better. That wasn't me.
Yeah, that was weird. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so my original way that I had it set up that I talked about before was that the first company I'd had as Grey Knights, because they were kind of more veteran-y kind of
Right.
dudes. Well, I turned out I don't have to do that anymore. So I have enough Terminators and vets to do that. And then the second company originally was going to be all Dark Angels, because I had a huge number of those because Jake had left me his Dark Angels army. Turns out I have enough Marines, regular Marines. I don't need to do Dark Angels as the second company. So I thought I was pretty close. I was able to confirm that. So that was awesome. So the second company is also, as I was rearranging all the stuff I had, I realized I pretty much had the second company almost completely painted in the basic colors. They're not finished, but the base colors are down. So it actually made me feel great. I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. And then the keystone that kind of touched everything off, it was kind of the fuse that lit everything off, is I finally found the frickin' Sector Mortalis bases. I bought like 120 of them. I bought like 4 boxes. There's 16 a box. I bought a bunch of boxes of it.
Yeah.
And so,
You need any more?
yeah, if you have the Sector Imperialis ones.
Yeah. I got a bunch in there. I'm not going to use. You can have them.
Oh, cool. So I'd already had them, painted, dry brushed, the detail. They were done.
Yeah.
It was just ready and to get to the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to rebase. So that kind of touched off the whole powder keg. And so I was like, I found these all. And I'm like, I was cheering and my wife's like, you're weird, which she already knew. But so I jumped right into, it's kind of like what Josh was saying about, the hobby I was like, okay, everything else is going on hold. I'm rebasing dudes. So I started going through with the second company and actually rebasing to the Sector Imperialis bases, basically a whole company of Marines. So I've finished 5 squads now of them.
The bases, you painted all the bases up? And
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have 5.
Doesn't take long.
That's why I asked Jody about the pinning, not pinning.
Right.
Because Colin's pinning all of his.
Yeah.
And I thought, the right way to do this is to pin them.
Yeah, is it?
But, well, no, it is in terms of durability and being playability and having them actually not falling off in the middle of a game or whatever.
Depends on the texture you have on your bases, too.
Totally
if you're just
does.
going straight into a plastic base, glue is probably fine. But
It does depend on a lot of
Well,
things.
right, but if you're going on to an already painted base, you really want the pin. Because otherwise you're gluing to the paint. You're not gluing to the base.
Fair point.
Yeah.
So
Fair point.
I struggled with that for about 43 seconds and then decided I'm not going to pin 1,000 Marines. So the great rebasing project, and I have to say Colin actually did kind of inspire me when I saw that picture with all of his bases already
He
painted
did them
and
all?
ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I found these. Now I can be like mini-me Colin, like not nearly as good, but at least doing the same thing.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that.
Cool.
As you can tell, I'm very excited. I have a demi company now rebased. They're going to get going.
That's fantastic.
The 10th company, it looks like I'm going to be able to probably save a lot of the 25s that I've taken off, because in the move that I talked about this before, the 10th company was in the trailer in the sun and most of their bases warped.
Yeah.
All the scouts.
Yeah.
So that
was crazy.
It's 100+ metal scouts, so they were fine, but their bases all got screwed up.
Oh, that's a real shame.
So, but I'm going to be able to reuse a lot of the 25s I'm taking off of the Marines to use for the scouts, because I confirmed yesterday at the GW store that the scouts are still in 25s.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I'm super, super excited about that. I also did some minor repairs on some of my sisters, because they're metal models. When you play with them a lot, they fall apart. I finished Dante.
The
book, Heralds of the Siege.
What'd you think of Dante?
It was okay.
Oh, I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was.
It was surprisingly.
It was
good.
It was better.
Guy Haley.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I liked it better than some of the other character books, individual character books.
This is the one that starts off with him going to actually go try out and all that stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was. I'm not even a Blood Angels fan. I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah, I mean, I liked I liked them showing the trials and this kid going on his journey, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on flashback stories.
Oh.
So there was that element for me, because again, my wife heard me go, "No flashback," and she said, "Oh, not liking the book, huh?"
Adan talks to himself a lot. He is in Arizona.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're listening to a book on, you're listening to it on headphones, you make a comment. Anyway,
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
Like if I'm driving in my car,
I yell at podcasts.
I do too. I do too. I was doing a fist bump when you gave Lords and Heroes a shout out when you're
there
talking
you
to
go.
Justin Hill. Heralds of the Siege. It's a short story about the final parts of the Horus Heresy. My favorite story in that was the Emperor playing chess with
Regicide.
Yeah, Regicide. Playing Regicide with Malkador. Mm-hmm. That was such a cool story. Nice. Oh, I really like that story. I'm in the middle of reading Inferno, the Black Library Black Book, the newest Black Book.
Oh, yeah.
It's heavy reading.
Okay.
So I'm in the midst of reading that.
It's a good book, though.
And I was listening to Black Shields: The False War, which I didn't like that much. And I got about 5 minutes into it and realized, oh, I've listened to this before already. And I had to.
Did you like it the first time?
I didn't really like it. And I was listening. I was like, man, I don't like,
I'll bet you this happens.
No, I want.
I was right.
No, I want to enjoy Black Library stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so
for sure.
it's occasionally I don't enjoy one. And
Look,
then
the reality is there's so much of it out there. You're not going to enjoy everything.
One of the things, I'll tell you what it is, and it probably is not an issue if you're reading that book, is a lot of the names sound very similar.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of hassle trying to figure out, okay, who's talking right now?
Yeah.
Which it happens to me occasionally with some of the audiobooks. And I know for a fact it wouldn't happen if I was reading them. Right.
Yeah, sure.
So, because you can see the difference. But yeah, so that was that.
All right.
And
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say a couple things. One, I really liked Josh's format for writing it into the notes, built, painted books kind of thing. But you didn't have hobby commitments and promises on this.
No, I've removed it.
You removed it because Jody doesn't like to make commitment.
No.
Oh.
Because I've made the same commitment for the last freaking 6 months.
But you don't have to anymore because you're over that hump.
Okay. Let's all not get ahead of ourselves here, right?
Yeah,
When
let's
the
get
Black
to game
Legion
played.
freaking
Bring it all
hit the
back to
table, and we'll talk. But I'm just re-messing with the format a little bit because
No, it's all good.
I found that we would get to that part. It didn't kind of flow anymore, so I just want to move on. So let's go into games played. Unless you have something else to add.
No.
Going to games played? Yeah, I have played nothing lately. And my travel trials have continued.
You've been all over the place, though.
Next week I go on another business trip for a couple days, and then the week after that we're going out to Austin for the Formula One.
Oh, yeah,
race,
Formula One.
which should be fun. But then I am done. I am done with travel for
No, you're not.
I'm not?
Uh-uh.
Why? What?
Cambria.
Wait,
Nope.
no. We're not doing Geekend this year.
What?
You're just learning this too? How's everybody just learning this?
No.
Yeah.
What?
All right,
Yeah.
well,
So I got to cancel my hotel reservation.
Yeah, you should cancel your hotel
Well,
reservation.
you can go. I'm sure it'll be lovely.
Yeah, it'll be great.
We just won't be there. Sorry.
Well, we'll fill you in. We'll fill you in off mic.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, okay.
My wife's going to be super happy.
Yeah, Doug's wife was too when he was surprised. So clearly I did not communicate this well. Yeah.
Wait a minute, did we pay already?
No.
Oh, okay.
I hope not.
I better
I
look
hope
at my
not.
PayPal history.
I haven't rented anything. So
That's how you got that new board.
what? No.
Anyway.
Patreons help me get this.
Yeah, I know.
So what Adan is shocked at is exactly what Doug was shocked at, is that normally we have an annual Geekend where we rent a big house and we all go play games and goof off, and I've canceled mine this year just because of complications in life and but it will be back next year, so not a problem. In fact, I'm moving it forward actually into the summertime. So
that'd be great because I will love to get out of Phoenix in 116-degree weather.
Cool. Well, we'll help you out there.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so for games played, I have played no 40K lately.
Yeah,
just not even Kill Team. Josh and I were actually going to play today, and then one thing led to another, and traffic and
that's
just happens.
Traffic and burritos.
You just perfectly
Traffic and burritos.
almost
Story of my life.
perfectly describes my 40K. I'll jump in. My 40K in the last month has been exactly as much as your 40K in
Awesome.
the last month.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost like we didn't play together.
It's almost like maybe we should get back to that campaign and try to not play that.
Jody and Carl did not play together.
I think this is revenge. In my case, Nurgle is angry that it's the only god I haven't painted up a faction for because we were supposed to play a game with Brian where Josh was actually going to film the game.
And then I got sick.
And Josh wasn't feeling well. And I was just coming off of nursing Aaliyah back to health, and I was okay. And I ended up being fine, but was not feeling 100%. And Brian said with small children, hard pass, stay away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we were all supposed to get together and play Kill Team Wednesday night. And my stomach went full xenomorph and said, nope.
We had fun.
Yeah,
There has been something going around.
So what? No,
With
he's
that
just sick of the
said-
idea of playing AT.
no, it was Kill Team. So Josh,
Kill
please
Team.
tell me about the fun I missed out on.
All right. Well, I got to go back.
that was a very professional segue, by the way.
the way back time machine here. Because it's been a little while. First game I played was a 100 power level point game with Necrons against Matt's Gene Stoller Cult. And this was the largest game Matt had ever played because he had never played 100 power level before. So it was his first
good
time
size, yeah.
fielding 8 characters or something like that, and kind of all the units that Gene Stealer have tons of characters because they have elite characters,
Yep.
like
So 100 power level, that's close to 2,000.
It's 100
roughly
power level
2,000.
play.
I know it is. I'm just saying for
Yeah.
listeners who don't use power level, we're talking of a scope of somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000
ballpark
points.
2,000
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
Just. So one thing we did on that was we played the new Schemes of War Maelstrom, which is the was featured in the June White Dwarf, which is this the build your own deck of cards Maelstrom,
Isn't that fun?
which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I I dubbed it in our game. It was not Drunken Commander. It was Tipsy Commander. Because
Right.
not everything was the priority that you want to do in the game, but everything you do is absolutely achievable. And
Right.
you've put this deck together knowing what you're facing, what
Very
you're
cool.
going
Yes.
into. And it was a lot of fun.
I
So,
also like the 2 up, 1 down piece of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So 2 are revealed, 1's hidden. And
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's easier to trade cards out. There's even like a stratagem you can spend if you don't
Right.
want to have any of the objectives you have to score that turn. You can spend a stratagem and wipe them out. And
Right.
Nice.
so it's a nice update of that format.
Very
So
cool.
That's fun. It was a good game, Matt. This was before Matt had got his first win against Jody, so Matt did not win. I'll leave it at that.
Jody did say he's got to stop playing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Josh doesn't pull any punches.
He's requested that we don't, so
Yeah, well,
so I
you know,
don't.
That's awesome.
Well, you don't on the table either.
Listen,
so.
when we're playing, feel free to pull any punches.
But okay, yeah. Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday I'll sandbag it.
Okay. Whatever.
Oh wow!
Next up, me and AJ IPA
Mhm.
played a game of Ultramarines vs. Necrons. This was a 2,000-point game. Playing,
classic.
one of the chapter approved missions was 3 objectives, 1 in the middle, 1 of each in our deployment zones. And this was actually his first game ever playing against Necrons. So he had never faced Necrons. And this was the first game that either of us had played with the new Marines Codex.
Yeah.
So it was
right.
a lot of new things going on both sides because we were both kind of relearning.
So he has the new Marines Code and the new Ultramarine
and the
supplement.
Ultramarines.
Yes,
So, yeah,
which is very good.
super good.
Yeah,
They're
that tactical doctrine with them.
they're aggressors that don't count as moving and
Yes.
get double shots no
Oh.
matter what they do. It's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
it's a stupid amount.
That's why you have aggressors in your
Remember
hobby
when-
progress.
I had already purchased them, but
when
they got
people-
bumped up in the priority.
Remember when people were saying how, power armor's no good and Space Marines suck? And
Not
no.
anymore.
People don't say that anymore.
It's a good book.
It's a solid
Yeah.
book.
It feels right too.
Yeah, I agree.
Feels right.
All right.
It's interesting.
I
So he's never played Aaron with
No.
his Necrons.
No, he is not.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yep.
Sorry, Carl. I cut you off.
He's only been playing since 8th edition, so it's not like he's been
Oh,
playing
right.
a long
Okay,
time.
yeah,
but he had never played Necrons before, so he learned a lot of things.
Yeah.
And learned going into our next game, he'll have a much better idea of how to target prioritize things and what does what and when it does. And
Did stuff just keep coming back for you?
yeah, he so his aggressor unit almost wiped out a 20-man unit of warriors, which is kind of like
Whoa.
my center core that just
Right.
goes and grabs an objective. And I think I brought 17 of them back. Like,
There's nothing
but
more
he had it down to
frustrating.
like 3, and they have to come back in unit coherency.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like
Yeah.
really, really tightly packing this to be able to get my guys back. But throughout the course of the game, pretty much everything was able to come back, and not much died on my
Very cool.
side. But
I don't know if I talked about this before.
last
'Cause I
show
guess
you
I-
did not. Yeah,
I guess I did play a game.
Yeah, you did. So we had our Adeptus Titanicus game day last month.
Was Jody there? I just checking.
No,
Okay.
yeah,
Jerk. Fair.
he wanted to
Totally
be,
fair.
but he wasn't.
Okay.
That's true.
So we had that. It was a fun 3-player game. This was also Austin AJ IPA, whatever we're calling him these days. It was his first full-on game
Right.
of Adeptus Titanicus, which was really fun to kind of see him get things and go through the process. I kept messing with him. So
The
sorry
ongoing
for
joke
that,
is we keep trying to have 4 people play,
Right.
and somebody always gets sick or can't make it or something happens, and so we've constantly played a bunch of 3-player games.
Yeah, which we've made work.
Yeah,
but
we made work. It was fun.
I'm
But I'm
really
looking
excited
forward.
for Sunday for
Yes.
a proper, and we have 2 trader players, 2 loyalist players,
Perfect.
so it's gonna
Nice.
be a good day of gaming. So, anyways, that was a fun game. We were each playing, I think, 1250 points.
Yeah,
because that's what Austin had, and
lots of stuff blew up.
yeah, lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff blew up.
And his first engine kill was the biggest explosion
Oh, the
possible.
explosion,
It was the big explosion,
Caused
and
damage to stuff
hit-
around it.
I want to
Yeah.
say it hit probably 5 other Titans
Yep.
with off
Wow.
that explosion.
It was
So
awesome.
It was eventful. It was a cool way to be introduced into the.
I think he
fullness
enjoyed
of the
it.
game. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he added a couple things to his shopping cart right after that game.
Yeah, who else would enjoy this game?
Probably one of the Santa Cruz guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll think about it.
Speaking of Jody not
We
being
love
there,
you, Jody. That's why we want you to enjoy join in our fun.
I can feel that.
You get to play in all our reindeer games.
No. I was, Mom was Catholic, so guilt works. Keep it up.
It's real good.
So tell me about what else I'm missing out on there, Josh.
So tell us about this.
So the other game day that you missed out was me and Brian playing Kill Team, which was this was the one that Jody was supposed to make it to, but
yeah.
Is that a tier?
It is.
We played 2 games of Kill Team, both elites. The first game we played was the commander variant of elite, so it's 200 points using the elite book, and the missions that are in the elite book, which are different than the commander missions, and I think generally more balanced, and we'll
talk about that.
We'll get into more when we get into the actual meat of the show. But I specifically wanted to play a game that was one side having a commander and one side not having a commander, because we did the shifting priority mission, which is a 200-point Kill Team game, commander optional. So we had a really good game. I was playing Harlequins, he was playing Death Guard. The Harlequin commander that I took was the Troop Master, which is more of a support character.
Right.
Could be a good combat character, but against Death Guard, Harlequins aren't super killy. And it didn't help that everything that I had that does D3 damage, I rolled a 1 every single time. Yeah. But thankfully, Brian, in the 2 games we played, I think he made 2 disgustingly resilient saves for everything. So that at least counterbalanced that. But and he's it was a really fun game. That's the one
Pictures are beautiful. You can see more of the
where the missions are jumping around, and it got a little dark, so I couldn't take more pictures. But yeah, we had a great game, and
it got a little dark because Death Guard was involved, and so was Brian.
Yeah.
That'd do it.
Dark and sultry.
Grouchy.
No, he was
Dallas with gasoline and set on fire.
Lit on fire. Yeah. So we had a great game of that, and then we just played a standard game of Elite, so it was 125 points, 101 there, and we played the Objective Ultima, which is that one center objective you have to grab in order to score any of the peripheral ones.
Right.
Which I really like that mission.
That is a clever mission.
It makes you think in an interesting way, and your tactics become really important on when you want to grab that center and how to
make it score. Right.
I was able to grab 2 points early off on the game, but it cost me 2 Harlequins to do that. And then he made his move towards the middle, but it was a little late on him for grabbing the other points, and we had just a huge combat that locked everything up in there. So I was able to grab. It was a 2-1 at the end of the day because I made the early move on it, but I couldn't.
I agree with you. I think that mission is a lot of fun. If you haven't played it, that one
definitely
really
one of my
is
favorites.
clever.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it could honestly translate into a 40K mission as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned the wanting to play an HQ versus elites, or not a commander without and then a force without.
Right. Yeah.
In terms of how well that balanced out, didn't seem to be okay.
The game we played, I would say it was pretty balanced. Until the very end, Brian failed his nerve test, so his guys were getting stunned and they weren't really participating in the battle. The downside of not having a commander in a commander scaled game is that you have a lot more bodies. Right. So once you get to that 50% mark,
good point.
You have a lot more guys taking those nerve tests, and then you have a lot more guys out of action, which makes you really likely to fail those individual morale tests.
Oh, that's interesting.
So like that became crippling. Like, he basically needed ones to not fail.
Well, and that's one of the overall
saves.
things that people talk about, having the idea of having kill teams with a lot of dudes in it. Yeah. Right.
So it's a balance built into the game in that you have a lot of guys, so it takes you longer to get to that halfway point, but once you do, it's bad news.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
At least for some of them. Yeah.
But again, my Harlequin character not being just a combat monster, like had I taken something that was just going to go and just tear through Death Guard, whatever, I can actually do that.
I was going to say, that would be what?
not that much can do that. But had it been just one character dominating an entire side of the board, I don't think it would be a very fair matchup because they are full wound complement and rear and for action.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Adan, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So one of the things about being retired, we always see you posting all these pictures of games you're playing.
Yes, I'm playing in 3 different 40K leagues at the moment.
Jesus,
which is kind of cool. So I'm getting a lot of playing in. It's slightly different formats than I've been used to playing on some level. I was able to get somebody to it was Tyler, I believe. We used the White Dwarf variant with the Maelstrom with the creating your own card pack thing. I really like that variation a lot.
Schemes of War.
Yeah, Schemes of War. I really like that better than the Maelstrom. One of the leagues that I'm in is a Maelstrom league
interesting.
At Desert Sky Games. So it's 2,000 points, Maelstrom. And so you're playing, the basic thing with the deck of cards, and we have the thing where if you pull a card that is you can't use, then you just don't use it. Yeah. And Tyler has some things that he has engineered in, like anything that's D3 points is 2. Anything that's D6 points, I think it's 3 or whatever. So you don't get that kind of variability.
You just take the average.
You just take
the
random.
Yeah.
And I like that also a lot better.
I could see why.
And it's kind of like why I think Exorcist should be D3 plus 3 missiles instead of D6 missiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just me. So that's been pretty cool. Played 3 rounds of that league. Played Tyler's Astra Militarum. Ben and Robert Herr also both had orcs. And playing against orcs and Maelstrom is, they got a lot of bodies, so they're able to go run around.
They'll cover a lot of that board.
Yeah. Ben had a lot more big dudes, the big dreadnought looking thingies, but the big ones.
Morkanauts.
Yeah, those guys. Robert had more of a bunch of bodies. Well, he also had like 3 shock attack guns, one of the really good ones, and 2 other shock attack, and then he had 2 battle wagons with death rollers.
Yeah.
One of those death rollers, because normally you get assaulted by a vehicle, you're like, yeah, whatever.
The old Doug Johnson special.
But that freaking death roller rolled into one of my squads of sisters and just obliterated it.
Yep.
They are brutal.
Yeah. So
they've always been kind of brutal.
Yes, they have. But thank
they were
goodness
terrible for a short while.
Yeah. There was that dark time the orcs don't talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. But one thing about being the Order of the Valorous Heart is you get that 6-up feel no pain. Whew. So that helped me a little bit in that game. But so I've been playing sisters with everything. I've been on the 2K games, I'm either playing 3 battalions or a brigade.
Interesting.
The Maelstrom League, you can't do multiple battalions, just either 1 battalion or 1 brigade, and then you can do like a spearhead or whatever. In the 2,000 point ITC League, it's straight ITC. So we're using each week I think they're 2-week sessions. Each round is the next ITC mission. It's just right.
Everybody's playing the same.
Everybody's saying the same mission. And so I played Eric Haynes and Eldar. I played Justin and his Admech. I played Eric Nell's Drukari, and Robert Anderson's Iron Hands. And then the fire bell rang, and he had to go run off and find his Dalmatian. But he was playing the Iron Hands while it was still before it got FAQ'd or whatever. And I was giving him a bad time because he's repainting them from Ultramarines into Iron. I can't give him too much of a bad time, though, because he's one of the people who actually tries to make sure his stuff is all painted, right? Okay. So it's like, good on you, man. I like that. I really do.
So he's playing the Ultra Hands.
The Ultra Hands.
Iron Marines.
The Iron Marines, which actually sounds better. But, man, that army was...
So let's talk just briefly, because we're kind of running lengthy here, but it sounds like you're adjusting like fairly well in terms of games played out where you are. I mean, you left a community that was pretty strong in terms of playing games, in terms of painting and hobby, probably.
Right.
I know I've heard you say the community out there is not so much into the hobby aspect of
depends
the
on
game.
It's different from person to person. Yeah.
Sure, it is, but I think here, everybody here, like, we're always playing with painted models.
It's hard to make an assessment for 2 reasons. One, end game closed.
Yeah.
So that had a huge impact because we were kind of casting about where we're going to do, what are we going to do, kind of thing.
Towards the end of
my time here, and then also I wasn't retired.
Right.
And so, when somebody posts and says, "Hey, anybody want to play a game at 11 a.m.?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll see you. I'll be there."
Yes,
right. And so that makes a big difference. Being able to be available to play games,
Sure.
I think that makes a big difference. And then one of the other leagues that I'm in is a 1,000 point beginners league. They're doing it as ITC Light, so it's the ITC missions without the secondaries.
Okay.
for those of you who know ITC rules, it's look at the packet and it's just they're not doing any of the secondary objective stuff.
Objectives, yeah.
Mission objectives. So you're not picking things like engineers and monster hunter or whatever, the big game hunter and stuff like that. All it is did you kill one? Did you hold one? And at the end of the turn, are you holding more? Or did you kill more? And so that's how you're getting your points. And the 1,000 point games on a 4x4.
That's fun.
It's fun. And it actually is like a true beginner's league. We do have several people who have not really played. Either they're playing a brand new army or they haven't really played much at all. Okay. And so that one has been, for me, as somebody who's done a lot of demos and done a lot of escalation type things, I really have enjoyed that because both the people I played haven't played a lot or haven't played a lot with their particular army. And so being able to just talk about, hey, you know what, you kind of missed that step. You might want to go back and do that. And
right.
Where when you're doing the 2,000 point ITC league, where yes, if you want to use a clock, you can. You know, if one of the two players wants to use a clock, then you have to use the clock. Like, oh man, that's kind of, nobody has done it. Nobody has done it yet that I've played. But, you know, just saying that it's a much more competitive focus. These are folks who are going to be going to SoCal Open and LDO.
You know what you're getting into with that league.
Yeah. Oh, no, you know you're getting into that. And it's a totally different mindset.
Yeah,
so it's really fun being able to do both types.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so, Christian and Kobe, I played in the Beginners League. And
that's fantastic.
Good time, yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you're having at least a good time out there with, you know, your free time. So
yeah, lots of playing, lots of different systems, you know, Warcry and AOS and
very cool.
Underworlds and all that very stuff. Cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do this. We're going to take a short break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to start talking about the evolution of Kill Team and where it's kind of going and ultimately where we hope it goes. So we'll be right back.
Hey guys, I'm Caleb.
And this is Kat.
And we are CK Studios. We want to invite you and your friends to come paint with us at one of our exciting and fun-filled airbrush and hobby weekenders. Our weekend workshops are 2 days of intense hands-on training, working directly with and learning from some of the top gaming artists in the industry.
Whether you're brand new to miniature painting or an experienced veteran that wants to up your game, CK Studios has the workshop for you. Our workshops cover everything from learning the basics and building confidence in airbrushing all the way up to creating that centerpiece model for your army or display case.
For more class info and our upcoming schedule, you can find us on Facebook at CK Studios Come Paint With Us or register directly at ckstudios.bigcartel.com.
If you can't find a class near you, that's okay. Just contact us and we'll bring a workshop to you.
All right, and we're back and we are discussing Kill Team, or as I call this episode, Kill Team Evolution, because since we covered Kill Team and we did the Kill Team versus Necromunda episode,
right?
A lot has changed within Kill Team.
True.
Some things for the better, and Necromunda.
Yes.
Some things for the better, some things not, that we're not talking about.
I know.
So maybe we should.
We're following a script, darn it.
Necromunda below the underhive. I don't know. Anyway,
Sorry.
A lot has changed with Kill Team. There's been expansions, there's been direction, there's been a few things. And so we're going to kind of talk about things that have come and where we think we would like to see things go from here. But let's talk about Kill Team itself, the origins of Kill Team. It came out a number of years ago, I think 2 years ago at this point, maybe 2.5.
No, more than that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that long. God, time flies. Let's call it 3 years. I don't remember. But the original core set came out, and it was pretty much a bargain for its price,
Very
considering
much.
it had brand new city ruin terrain, which is beautiful. And it was kind of an evolution of the terrain from the old Cities of Death terrain that they had released.
And also from the Armageddon Shadow Wars.
Yeah.
Shadow War Armageddon, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then it consisted of Gene Stealer Cult versus AdMech. These were no new models, but as we talked about during the Hobby Progress section, they were colored specific colors. So the
plastics.
Yeah, the plastics were, the AdMech were all red, and I think the Orc were all green at that point.
The Gene Stealers, yeah.
Or excuse me, Gene Stealer Cult was all green.
Powder gray.
Were they?
Powder gray.
Okay.
Blue-gray.
But the models were not new. They were just
Repackaged.
the repackaged sprues, which is great. And it came with cards and plenty of tokens and dice.
And it came in a large box set, and it's a heavy duty box set.
And it was one of the first times we'd seen in recent memory we'd saw a game that actually had a D10 in it.
That's true. That's
Oh
true.
yeah,
Just
I forgot
D6s.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other interesting thing was this felt like kind of a relaunch of their attempt with Shadow Wars Armageddon.
Yes.
So Shadow Wars Armageddon had come out several years before that, sold out like crazy. People went nuts over it. They got upset that they couldn't get
It was less than 2 years before that.
more.
Yeah.
But the rule system for Shadow Wars Armageddon was a bit antiquated.
Yep.
And kind of it didn't have sticking power.
That hype was partially for the terrain and partially because Necromunda hadn't been re-released
Right.
yet.
Correct.
Right.
So
And
now
it felt very Necromunda, the old world Necromunda rules, basically.
Right. So now they come out with Kill Team, which I can talk about at this point. We play tested some of it before it launched. A lot of the rules initially in the first version of the playtest were lay the model down when it's in a stunned thing, and I was just like, oh, this is not really smooth. Like, I don't think this is going to go where you guys think it's going to go. Then we get a next iteration, and then by the third iteration, it was pretty much what you saw. It came out, but it was really cool to see them take the feedback, adjust the game, acknowledge it. Hey, we see a problem with this, and we see a problem with this. Do you guys have any ideas? Nope, I don't have any ideas. Hopefully, somebody else does. And I think that was actually the last time we play tested a Kill Team thing. Like, it was pretty much just the core set.
The core set.
Now they have a separate group that just does Kill Team. But again, they kind of relaunched this, and their thinking behind it at the time was, we are going to support this like hands down. Like,
It's
this
a
is
new
gonna,
game,
It's
like a
going to
whole
be
new
an
game. Yep.
ongoing thing. We're going to support it. It is. It is a new version of the way you can play. And now we know there was really a plan for 3 versions. There was Kill Team, there was 40K, and then there's Apocalypse. And that's the 3 ways that you play the game. Or I should say, play games in the 41st millennium.
Right.
Yes.
Because they are different.
Small, medium, and large.
Yeah.
Different than the 3 ways to play.
And then before we kind of feed on that, now recently they have re-released the core set, but with some significant differences. You now have the terrain from the original Shadow Wars Armageddon box set, which in my personal opinion, I don't think is the
as
value.
good as the original one.
Yeah, as good as the original one, the value there. It now is Primaris Space Wolves versus Tau. Again, you have no new models in there. And it has cards and tokens.
But I think value-wise, in terms of what you're getting for the money, I still think it's a good value, like the first one was.
Okay.
A good value.
So let's talk about that, because you think it's as good as value as the first one?
Well, yeah, especially since a lot of people never got the Shadow Wars Armageddon box, right? If you came into the game and Shadow Wars Armageddon wasn't something that was in your orbit, like AJ, then yeah.
I
mean,
I could see that, and I would also proffer this point that the Shadow Wars Armageddon terrain is the sector not Mechanicus.
Yeah,
is Mechanicum.
Mechanicum.
Whereas the original Tau Gene Stealer, the first release of Kill Team, had that new Imperial terrain, the Imperial sector.
Sector terrain,
which is beautiful, and it was its big new release. And I think from, just a mass standpoint, Carl, I tend to agree with you of the volume of terrain you were getting.
Yes.
In the first version, you did get more. Yeah. This new version, I don't know. There's something that's always held me off on the Imperial sector terrain, and what it is. And I'm somebody who bought very heavily into the Cities of Death terrain, and played on that stuff for years and had 4x6 tables worth of it. And it's not that I'm like, oh, this new stuff isn't. No, it's beautiful. It's better in every possible way, but it's actually not that flexible. You can play in a city, or you can play in a city. And what I've found actually is with the Mechanicum terrain, we've used it to represent mining worlds, industrial sectors.
It's more flexible.
I can get more mileage out. So I don't get as many pieces in the new box, but I was actually a little more excited and tempted by that box than the first one for that reason.
I'm going to disagree. Yes, you can only play city stuff, but I don't feel like you get as much cover as you do.
No, and I think
that's true.
I think
which the Kill Team makes a difference.
Which is important.
Yeah.
And I think that pile of plastic is real. How much plastic you getting for your dollars.
Yeah.
In the first one, you got more.
I just feel, okay, so maybe, pound of plastic per penny
Sure.
is not as good, but I still think they're good. Both of them are good value.
I will agree with you there. Like, I'm not saying they're not both good values. I just think one was a fantastic value.
Okay, and one was just good.
And one is a good value.
Yeah.
Okay, is
I
my
can see
take
that.
on it.
I think that's fair.
They can both exist.
They both exist.
Peace and love.
They can both.
Yeah, peace and love. Okay, they do exist. Either way, I agree with you though. They are good values, and as stupid as it sounds, like the box is large, it's sturdy, so you can store everything in it that you need to if you're just kind of carrying this around from place to place. They come with the same board, I think, that the first one did. It's just different terrain on it.
And I didn't buy either one of them. No, because I'm not interested in any of those armies.
Yeah, I did not either.
So
Yep, not it.
yeah, so which is that's the downside sometimes of some of these like the.
And I should also mention. It also comes with the rule book.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I
Yes.
didn't mention that, which is a solid rule
And
book.
so many
128
tokens and
page
cards.
rules.
Yeah, lots of tokens.
Lots. FFG was almost jealous.
Yeah.
Almost.
But I mean, it's just like the Psychic Awakening thing. I'm probably not going to buy it
Till it gets to your army.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get a hold of the rules, but I'm not interested in buying that box.
Oh, no. You're talking about the Eldar one?
That's one of the boxes, though.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, eventually.
Let's see what happens when it rolls around to an army you're actually interested in.
Yeah.
you know.
I'll be first in line. I'll be pre-ordering it.
And I think, that's another discussion.
Yeah.
Carl, you touched on this real quick, and I don't know. I think this is interesting. Is the notion of Kill Team being a core
We'll be
way
the judge of that.
to play the game?
Yeah.
Please do. And that notion now of having three distinctive ways to engage. And I like the way you said that with the 41st Millennium on the tabletop. That you have Kill Team, which is small and as a point of access to the game.
For sure.
I feel like that's what it's supposed to be.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do we still feel like that's true? Or maybe we want to talk about this at the end, but it feels like with the core set, if that's where you start with the core set. I still feel like that's, if you're a kid and you're wanting to get into this and you want the cool box of toys, this is the cool box of toys to give a kid.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. In my mind, and most games right now when we play, I'm still using that core rule book. That's the one I get the most use out of.
Absolutely. Well,
And then I'd probably add the elites on that, but we'll talk about that in a second.
yeah. I can say for sure the number of school clubs and access. Funny enough, hey, if any of my SoCal Knights are listening to this, thanks for listening, guys. But yeah, that's some of my students found the podcast and are excited about it. And we've been doing they've been doing with Matt more so a little bit of Kill Team after school.
Nice.
And it makes it,
And it is the gateway drug.
Yeah. Well, are we talking about that at this point?
Sure.
Because I'm not sure I totally agree with that, but just having been in a position of being in the store and talking to people about what they want to get into the game for and I think I've seen more First Strike box sets sold than Kill Team core sets just because of the monetary outlay.
Oh, I think that's a great point.
Because, the most recent example, these two guys come in, is that 40K? Yes. And talking to them about all the different options, and I kind of walked through with them what they got in each box and how they could use it and that kind of stuff. And when we talked about the Kill Team thing, it was, I sound like I work at a store and I don't, but
no, but you also have been a patron, not a patron,
ambassador.
Thank you, of the hobby for a long time.
So I'm talking to them, and we look at the Kill Team box, and I had to point out, okay, yes, this is awesome. You can play with like 8 models per side, and the terrain's all there. It's different rules than what we're playing at that table over there. So if you want to eventually end up at the table that we're at over there, that's cool, but you're going to be learning different rules along the way. So you'll have to switch gears. And these guys were not interested in switching gears. They wanted to get into what we were doing.
Okay. Right. And
so they ended up with a First Strike set.
And price point on First Strike right now is
$45, $45.
Yeah. You get very few models in it. Like 5.
It's 5 or 6 per. Yeah. But the box.
I'm not saying it's not a good value.
The box becomes terrain, right? Mm-hmm. And they're playing.
Right, but either way, no matter how you slice it, whether it's a better value or not, $45-$50 versus $160.
Yeah,
that's a real difference. Even if it's not as good of a value, it's still.
And so my thing is that
Kill Team, especially if you're your pocketbook is not that deep.
Yeah.
Right.
But here's the fallacy of that. Here's the trap. Okay, yeah, first strike could cost you $50.
First strike is not full 40.
Now what are you going to play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then here's the thing. And so,
Yeah, you got to add so much to first strike to get to that 40K level.
To go play at that
Right,
table
yeah.
that you guys are playing.
or you buy the $40 Kill Team core book and you use this model to play Kill Team.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I still, I hear what you're saying, but this is still a gateway drug game.
I agree.
Like, without
I
a
agree.
doubt.
I just don't think the box set is a good gateway drug.
Maybe not. Yeah. I mean, the great thing about the box set, so you're absolutely right, but the great thing about the box set is you have everything in there. You need to play the terrain.
Yes,
blah, blah,
absolutely.
blah.
Yes,
I hear
yes,
you.
yes.
$160 is a big outlay.
But I completely agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
If you were to buy the quote unquote the big Christmas gift.
Yeah.
The one big Christmas gift under the tree.
That's a good Christmas gift.
Yes, that's awesome because you can put that stuff together and you're playing the game.
But you're
You got everything
right.
there.
You're right in the sense that you get the rule book, and then you pick a Squad Primaris Marine
Right.
box set.
Right.
Still though, that Primaris Marine box set's running you $50.
Right. So what we did when Kill Team first came out, the GW sent stickers for all the units that you could play in Kill Team.
Right.
You put
They
those
had 'em
stickers
stuck
on the
on the
boxes.
boxes.
Yep.
So you could say this unit for Kill Team. And they sold a ton of boxes.
Sure.
Because we ran the campaign and people were buying the rule book and they'd go buy those boxes.
Yeah.
And so arguably the store made more money on it that way than on the core set.
Smart. I mean, so they can get exactly what they
Yeah,
want to do.
yeah.
The thing I still say about Kill Team is it offers a lot that 40K doesn't offer. Faster games.
Yes.
It offers you the flexibility to, okay, I'm going to buy a squad of Tau and I'm going to play with these guys on this table and go, is this the direction I feel like? Am I enjoying this?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's switch and let me try your Death Guard. Oh, I like the way these guys operate. Maybe I'll invest in Death Guard if I'm going to
100%.
jump up to this.
Yeah, even if the rule systems are a little bit different, which they are, the flavor
The
of
flavor's the same.
armies.
Yep.
and the fundamentals
Translate.
are basically the same.
Yeah.
You're rolling
And the
these
play
things.
style, the play styles are the same. Yeah.
But you're right.
absolutely.
When you're talking about the box set being the gateway thing, the gateway drug, that's not what I mean. I mean the game itself.
Yes.
Kill Team
Right.
being
Absolutely.
And I would say
completely agree.
even that box set, like if you buy the Kill Team box set, you have the complete Kill Team
You're set.
experience there.
Yeah.
That is everything you need to play. Where even if you buy, say,
for hours and
Yeah.
hours of fun.
As long as you want to play those two armies.
even if you
That's
buy
what I love those
whatever
stories.
the new 40K box set, so like Shadow Spear or something like that, that is not necessarily a full 40K experience. Like
no.
it doesn't have the rule book in there. It has the pamphlet, but it doesn't. And even those armies aren't complete armies. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
What about something you just said triggered me thinking of this. Josh, do you think Kill Team's more accessible to a board gaming audience than proper 40K is?
yes,
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
The way the phases break down are a
Yes.
lot
Yeah.
more board gamey than how
Absolutely.
a proper game of 40K is
And
played, which I
compared to
never
40
thought of till just now.
Even just so on the mechanical level too, something to kind of come back to what we were saying. It being a different game than 40K, like you do have alternating activations in Kill
Yep.
Team, which is way more board game, way more modern game design than 40K
Yeah.
does.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's still the you go, I go, where Kill Team
Right.
is the movement phase is it's still all you, all me, but then
everything
after
after that,
that,
alternating,
it's
yeah.
alternating. So yeah, absolutely, and tokens.
Yes. Tokens.
Yes,
Lots
tokens.
of tokens. Yeah.
We'll be talking about tokens.
Okay. All right. So that's the core set.
Yes.
$160 you're in. Heck, throw another $40 on that. Two of you get the rule book. You split the stuff. It's not
Yep.
easy. Not easy to split the terrain, but
You could split the armies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you can't split the board. So it does come with a board to play on.
Yes.
Cardboard, thick cardboard.
Yep.
paper. Okay.
But
Next,
you could go to Table War and buy one of their
we'll
really
get
nice.
to that.
Yeah.
So, either way, you have one of these two core sets,
Yep.
or you just buy the rule book and use the models that you already have if you're a 40K player. This is what initially launches for Kill Team.
Mm-hmm.
Then what launches, and we'll get to the expansions for like the orc terrain expansion and all that stuff in a bit. But the next major release for Kill Team is Kill Team Commanders. And this is kind of hyped pretty heavily. Comes in a small cardboard box to store everything in. Comes with cards with new psychic powers, including aura tactics. You get a 120-page soft cover rule book, which gives you the commanders that you can use for every army that's out there.
It comes with missions in the book, missions specific to the commander set, which are requirement.
Yep.
And we all rush out and buy it because we're playing Kill Team at this point, and we're like, "Oh, cool, new expansion! I'm excited about it." What's our kind of thought on how that goes?
To be fair, too, we're playing a lot of Kill Team at this point.
Yeah.
And we, I mean, Doug Neal's the one that immediately comes to mind of Doug saying, like, I think I would rather play Kill Team than 40K for a while. You know, and he wasn't the only one saying that.
Nope.
So Commanders was hotly anticipated.
Well, and we were running the Kill Team campaign because
You were.
as you were saying.
When you say we, you mean you were.
Yeah, I was running it at Endgame. I mean, we as a community at Endgame. Sorry. Yes, Mike and I were running it at Endgame. Because
I had nothing to do with
as you were saying,
I wasn't even there.
I know you didn't even show up. As you were saying earlier, though, GW said, "Hey, we're going to be all in on supporting this."
Yeah.
And so, it wasn't in the notes, and I apologize for not realizing that it wasn't in there until now. But I would like to talk a little bit about how that support kicked in each of these releases as well. So, in the Kill Team campaign set, you got a bunch of cards, command cards. You got tokens, acrylic tokens to replace some of the cardboard tokens for objectives. You got dice with logos on them, 2 D6s and a D10. You got little badges or buttons, the metal buttons that you could give out. And the best part, these really nice, I want to say they were 60 millimeter, 80 millimeter medals made out of metal, gold, bronze, and silver colored to give out at the end of the campaign. And they had these little Kill Team cards where you tracked the progress of your Kill Team across the campaign.
Let's be clear, this campaign system was available to stores. Like, I could not go purchase one.
Correct. You had to be, but you could buy one. There were people who bought them through their store.
Right. Because the store wasn't going to run the campaign.
And so the people would pay the store the $75 that they had to pay for it, and they could run it for their club.
Right.
But yes, they were selling it to the retailers.
But in the case of Endgame, they were like, Adan, here you go, run this event,
right,
and give this stuff away and do whatever you're going to do.
Right.
Make your magic happen.
And we had a ton of people the first night. I want to say there was like 18, 20 people who showed up that first night. It was a huge event. Now, it trickled down quite a bit as we got towards the end. But, the interest in Kill Team was red hot. And so I agree with Jody that the Commanders expansion, everybody was like with bated breath. Ooh, let's do this.
Yeah. Okay, so it comes out. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Lands a bit flat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Why? What's the frustration with it? For you?
Honestly, my biggest frustration is the missions in it. I saw a lot of potential in this, and as we've talked about in previous shows, where there's really cool narrative potential for this, where you have, the commander and his group of guys, and they're kind of doing something heroic. I think the more interesting thing, instead of having two opposing factions where it's a commander and they're a couple lackeys hanging out and they're just doing their own thing, would be more of like the commander and his dudes against the tank mission.
Right.
Is not a thing. So the narrative potential,
kind of the Dirty Dozen thing.
That like I had anticipation for when this released didn't deliver for me.
Yeah.
Some of the missions have some pretty serious balance issues depending on which commanders are being used, and I don't know. It's not as fun for me.
Okay. Jody, any thoughts to add to that? Or
it's just something that I think Josh hit the highlights there of. It just doesn't make sense. Like I still don't understand what it is that I'm supposed to do with commanders other than field a cool character that beats the crap out of my opponent, which is it's a fun note, but it's just one note. It's the same reason I'm not a Superman fan. He just throttles. He's one super guy. And I'm like, I get my super guy.
Expensive as hell too.
Yeah. It's just
meaning
this
points
weird,
wise.
Right. Yeah. I gotcha. It's this weird one note that I went, that is when all of the notes I thought this expansion might play, that was the one I was least interested in. And I still, every time I sit down, I go, yeah, I don't know why I'd want to do
Gotcha.
this.
Gotcha.
And it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think so. To me, it doesn't make sense to play Commanders, and this kind of gets back to what Josh was saying, but it doesn't make sense to play Commanders in a one-off game to me.
Okay.
It only makes sense for me to play Commanders as part of a campaign.
I could see that.
And where you have your roster of dudes you can pick from for a particular mission and that kind of thing. The full-blown kill team. Because let's face it, the way a lot of people play kill team is they
Just
sit down
shot.
and they do a one-off shot with 100 points or 150 points, and they just play their game. Well, when you're actually doing a progression and you're you're leveling up your guys and all this other kind of, oh, does this guy die or does he not? And does he take a wound or whatever? I think that's where Commanders can shine a little bit more. But I think that what people wanted out of Commanders was actually elites.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So,
right. But I think that Commanders could fill a really cool niche in that really campaign-centric narrative format, and maybe even you can't even use your commander until your guys get to a certain level.
I think that's
a cool idea.
Superb point in that, and owning my own, like, hey, limited information here on the person speaking is, I literally only played it as one shots, and that's part of what I loved about it was the accessibility of the one shot that Kill Team brings. But the reality is there's a lot of cool stuff in that book campaign wise about what happens when a veteran levels up and what happens when, and I just haven't got around to accessing it, which also is one of the weird things with Kill Team, or with Commanders rather, is that had Commanders been released now, I think our reaction would be I agree. This is cool.
I agree.
But it's the first expansion.
It's a point I make later. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's totally fine because it's exactly what I was saying. Yeah.
And in fact, let's go out of order there because the next thing that releases is actually Kill Team Rogue Trader.
I've got a quick point on why I think GW put this out and as their first expansion was part of that gateway drug experience. Giving somebody who's new to 40K, they have their squad of dudes, and then they have this commander that has an aura ability, and how much that directly translates into full-scale 40K is
a possibility.
A very similar experience for a very low investment compared to full-on 40K. Like
that's a possibility.
That you're buying a box of dudes, and you're buying a commander, and you're out $70, and you have 40K equivalent things.
You got a squad in HQ.
You have your squad. You have your HQ.
I hadn't thought about that.
With aura ability. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point.
Which really unlocks, look at 8th edition. Aura abilities is 8th edition.
That's the thing.
It is 8th edition. So that experience, I think, is getting people to buy in at that level and then take that into 40K.
Oh, that's a very interesting point.
In saying this, I can't help but think of the Gene Stealer cult in particular, where the Keller Morph, the Desperado Gunslinger, it's still the only way to get him is in his commander box.
Yep.
He's awesome.
In a weird way, I'm glad it limits how many of those are on the damn table.
That's a really interesting point. And I mean, I think that speaks to, again, I think though it was detrimental to the experience of Kill Team.
I agree.
But maybe beneficial to the business. But I don't know if that's short-sighted.
But I think Kill Team as a new player, as an introduction to 40K, probably was the right call.
No, that's actually a really good point.
Obviously, we've all been playing since second edition.
Fourth.
So we've all been around the block for a while. So it wasn't necessarily the right approach
interesting for us.
Kill Team for us.
Yeah, it wasn't designed.
But we're
for
also
us.
not necessarily the market audience spending money.
So assuming if we were the market audience, I think, and again, I'm going to jump out of order here because originally I put these in order of release, and Rogue Trader, Kill Team Rogue Trader was next, which we'll come back to.
Yeah.
But I want to leap down to elites because if we were the target audience, I think you said it already, Jody, it would have been Kill Team, Elites, Commanders.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In that order.
Yes.
Elites was a huge success for our group.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, a lot of times it's kind of our standard way of playing now. Now the difference here is basic Kill Team is supposed to be 100 points.
Yep.
Elites kind of ramps that up to 125. And
Commanders is 200.
Yeah, and offers some new missions within Elites, but that are specific to Elites.
All the core book missions play fine at 125 points that I have experienced so far. Also.
Agreed.
So you've got all those options.
But in addition to that, it now opens up things like
at its core, for Space Marines, you can get it to the Terminator. You can add Chaos Space Marine Terminators. You can kind of go for
It's
those.
more than just a bunch of mooks.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I really don't feel comfortable playing the demon faction at 100 points. Like, I honestly feel like it's unfair.
Yeah, it is pretty tough.
Just because the abilities they have inherently are elites and commander level abilities. They're just at a squad level.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's not.
And they were released in White Dwarf.
Right.
We
But
haven't
after
seen,
elites, like the elite rules happened, and then I think there's a reason they waited till that
to do
happened.
the demons. Yeah,
Quite
that's a
possibly.
good point. Yep.
Well, actually, one of the things that they didn't initially launch demons for, having play tested it and asked where are my demons, was they felt like the thematic aspects of Kill Team were supposed to be these small teams, and demons didn't really fit into that
As a team.
Which I think is totally valid.
Yeah.
A demon incursion is large in
faceless,
scale, and and so they tended to avoid that a bit. That argument might break down a little bit with Tyranids, but that was their thinking.
I wasn't going to pull at that thread,
but that was their thinking.
I don't disagree with it. Like,
I think Tyranids are, well, anyway, I was gonna say they think they're too big a faction not to include, but I think demons are too. So it's a moot point. But that was the thinking at the time,
right?
Literally,
but there's a
verbalized
bajillion
to
and
me.
one stories about a lone lictor or a lone gene
Yes,
stealer
that's
or
true.
a lone. You don't get a lot of stories about the bloodletter.
Yeah,
right.
Not so much.
Although
Sometimes
there are
you get a handful of like pink horrors that pop up on a ship.
and there have been stories. I'm trying to remember which book I was reading where you have like a demon that possesses someone and it's a lone demon.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
We're getting off.
We're getting off.
Anyway,
yeah. Weird.
So Elites comes out. As we said, it ups to 125. It includes a few named characters in there. It has sub-faction rules for Legion traits and regimental doctrines. It adds in here, because it's afterwards, it adds a commander specialism called the Legendary Hunter. It has new missions, and it has new data sheets that allow you to add these elites to your slots. So the Terminators, that kind of stuff.
Greatly expanded the roster potentials for all the armies in there.
Yeah. And they use a word in both elites and commanders that I don't remember seeing this game, and it was specialism.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what's a specialism? That's a specialty.
Oh, that's interesting.
Huh.
But they call it a specialism.
Maybe that's a
UK
British
thing.
Maybe it's a UK thing. I don't know.
Somebody will tell us. So in my opinion, like, now we're talking. Like, this is what I wanted, and a lot of times I'm not fielding like a bunch of Terminators or something like that. With my 1,000 Suns, I just take like one Terminator sorcerer, and then the rest guys are just regular rubrics or something.
The 25-point bump in the game size doesn't
helps
significantly unlock the potential for you to just take all the best of everything.
Right.
Right.
Which is nice.
It is I think it's a great limiting factor in a lot of ways.
I think it was really well balanced to put it out.
My last point is I just feel like, for me, like, this is where I really, really enjoy Kill Team at the moment.
Yes.
I can still play regular basic Kill Team games, but when we unlock that elites thing, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I have just that extra bit of flexibility and flavor to add, and then I'm really off to the races.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think our group tends towards liking that when we build our lists, or at least I'll speak for myself. I know that for me, when I build my list, I like having to make some tough choices about what I get to take or what I don't get to take. And Elites does that in a really rewarding way, as opposed to feeling like a punitive way. But also, like, I want to own that a lot of groups don't like that as much. They want all the toys. They want, and I think the majority of groups I've been a part of, players want to take all the things. And I think Commanders does that better. Like, if you want the powerful, awesome beat face thing, you want to have all the toys. The Commanders expansion lets you have all the cool toys.
It's kind of like at 40K, you see, I enjoy games at 1,500 or 1,750 more than 2,000.
As do I.
It makes you take it. You have to decide, I really can't take all of those.
Yeah.
And what is the competitive list size? 2,000 points.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is nice. Like, this is one of the things I love about the game. You can swap.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Sometimes it's nice to take all the toys.
But I used to love running a 1,750 event.
Yeah, or 1,500. I actually really enjoy
1,500, because people are like, I can't take all of this.
You don't have answers for everything.
Right.
You have to,
and you lose something, and you feel it.
Yeah,
you feel every loss.
Right, exactly.
To go back to Elite. Sorry.
No, go, Jody.
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say, to go back to Elites for my kind of 2 cents on why am I so like Elites is great, is that game design conceptually, from my understanding, what an expansion ought to do, whether it be for a board game or a tabletop game or whatever, is it should give you more ways to enjoy the same thing you already enjoy, right? That like, oh, I've got this board game and I really like it, and then I buy this add-on pack and I get to experience it in a new and enjoyable way. And I think Elites did that beautifully, that it adds a new enjoyment to something you already knew. It's not, it doesn't change it fundamentally. It's not like some drastic shift in like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing now. It's just, hey, here's this thing you love, and we've
More
just
of it.
expanded it.
Yeah. Whereas Commanders changes kind of the way the game plays more. As you said earlier, Josh, you can still play the old missions using Elites and they work just fine. You can't
with
play the
Commanders.
old missions using Commanders.
Not at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
It really changes the way the game plays entirely.
Those aura abilities and stuff like that make a big difference.
And the missions are
The
just
missions.
required for the way it's played. And so to your point, Jody, it does. It gives you more of what you really like.
Right. It's in a weird, very weird food comparison. A lot of people will initially be like, oh, I like coffee, but they're drinking like blended drinks with lots of sugar and stuff in them.
Right.
Or, whatever it is, or cocktails or whatever it is. And they like to add a lot to it. And over time, you kind of refine this like, oh, no, I start noticing these little nuances of things I like. And in a weird way, that's what the expansion experience should be, is like, oh, I'm exploring new nuances of the game. And I don't know. I feel like
so Elites is the Appletini of your cocktail experience.
No,
or?
Kill Team is the Appletini.
Uh-huh.
Elites is knowing one vodka from another and drinking them straight and neat.
Okay.
Even though I know that kind of goes backwards.
And it goes backwards. Yeah. Okay.
But it's
All
the
right.
idea of like
You're more refined. And
it's this more refined. Like I
The
have a
Moscow
lot.
Mule.
This one goes to 11. I have more dial options to work through. Which I think when I was just looking at the notes, I think your point, Adan, that you bring up here is interesting because I feel like it ties into this idea of that these units. Why weren't they there from jump?
Yeah, I have an idea, but I thought about that. I don't know if you want, Josh, if you want to go first, or because your notes are really in
Mine
depth.
was easy. This is yes and more. Which to those points, yes, this is awesome. This is the game that I wanted Kill Team to be, and it's there now, and I'm playing it and loving it.
Yeah.
I want more, and I'm glad to see they're supporting it in White Dwarf, like the new Phobos that just dropped in the new White
I was
Dwarf.
just going to talk about that later. Yeah, you can see the ongoing support even in monthly White Dwarf expansions and different ways to play and different missions.
It's just going to give you more options, but it's still at that same game scale size that is, I think, the perfect way to play Kill Team at that 125 point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that there was a couple things kind of rolling around in my head about Elites. One was that, yes, these are some of the units I really wanted to be playing in this game anyway. I don't just want a bunch of mooks running around. I want to actually have some other kind of cool guys. But maybe it's because I played Kill Team in back and forth edition from the back of the rule book where you could take more different guys. I actually prefer.
By the way, called Kill Team, but a totally different experience. Just saying.
Yes, but it was a small unit.
Yes,
kind of thing. I actually prefer the way of doing it where you can buy one dude of a unit. As opposed to, because at one point they had Kill Team, you had to buy the whole unit.
You had to buy the whole unit.
Yeah,
I definitely prefer this.
Yes,
this version.
yeah,
so much.
Shadow Wars was you bought the unit.
The unit, right. But I think that there also was a necessity to do so, because one of the things that you find when you play Kill Team is that multi-wound models are awesome.
Yep.
Right.
That's why Primaris rock.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So when you had intercessors as something available at the base level, a lot of the other armies, my personal opinion, that's me statement, they needed elites
to stand up
to be able to stand up to the multi-wound units that are just the regular dudes in intercessors. So being able to have the elites kind of helps you deal with that a little bit more, in my opinion, because if you read the Tacticas, I was reading the Tacticas on Space Marines for Kill Team and stuff. It's like, oh, you absolutely are going to take 2 intercessors over 3 scouts. Come on, right? And to me, a scout with a sniper rifle that has a specific type of role narratively, that I would want to have that. But I can't argue with the fact the intercessor with 2 wounds is a better selection for the points. And so I think that
Not only does he shrug off the first wound, then he ignores the effects of the next wound he takes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, so I think that, yes, I agree. Awesome. Being able to add the flavor, this is more than just salt and pepper. There's actually getting to use a little hot sauce with my kill team. Right. And so I like that a lot.
Move from drinks to hot sauce. That's
Adon,
I like where he's
Adon's
going.
analogy was way better.
I like where he's going with this.
But I also think there was an issue of, hey, you know what? Intercessors are too good. The multi-wound units are really...
They're tough.
They're really tough. Yeah. So, between that and the regular
They
Death
made
Guard
Marines
dudes.
feel like Marines, though, which
Yeah?
I would say...
Which was wonderful.
They had not until the new Codex.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, though, in that notion of what we were talking about of commanders versus elites and which one came out first, Adon's point there of elites following second, I think that doubles down my feeling of like, no, really, I think it made more sense had that come second.
Yeah.
But then I also go back to Josh's point of 13-year-old me, which one would I have wanted? Commanders all day,
absolutely.
every day,
Yeah,
and
yep.
twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Commanders is Hero Hammer.
Yes.
For kill team.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And if I was 13-year-old me, give me Hero Hammer.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, between these two things, what came out was an expansion. It's a larger box called Kill Team Rogue Trader. This was a bit different than normal Kill Team.
Yes.
It took place on a ship. It introduced two new factions that were very specific to the box. The Gellerpox Infected and the Elucidian.
Elucidian.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Yep.
That's
That's how you pronounce it. All right,
is
let's go
now.
with yours. I like your pronouncing better.
Elucidian. Yeah.
You're right.
Elucidian.
That's the English teacher
Star
over there.
Striders.
I'm
He
just
doesn't
going off
know.
the YouTube video.
Yes.
Okay.
That, me too. That's
that
right.
what it
My
is?
friend.
Yeah. Okay. Came with a double-sided game board, which was the ship.
Yep.
Loved it.
Yeah, very cool. Comes with a ton of background, including information relevant to the galaxy after the destruction of Cadia.
Also really cool.
It leverages commanders as well, but this was a very specific type of expansion for Kill Team that, other than the need of the core rules themselves, it almost worked as a standalone game.
Right.
Yes.
Pretty much did.
Yep.
Yes.
Other than needing the core rules.
Yes.
So lots of unique models, beautiful models, a rogue
Great
trader
sculpt, super unique.
ship and crew, and then some great, basically Death Guard-ish type characters. Okay.
They were almost like a cross between Death Guard and Nurgle demons.
Yeah, the more fleshy, natural, organic.
Poxwalkers, dare I say.
Yeah.
But
So
upscaled.
I loved the new models. This is a case where we got a preview copy of this box set, and I think I ended up giving it to you, Adan, at that point, because I was like, you know what? I'm good with what I got. You take this. You're super into like rogue traders and the character type stuff. Take it and run with it. What were your thoughts on playing with it or looking at it or going through it at that point?
So I really loved the Rogue Trader models a lot. I'm not a big Nurgle guy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that part of it didn't really interest me. And what?
It's so great. It makes me sad every time
I know.
a little nurgling dies every time
I
you
know.
say that.
Good. I would keep saying it. Kill those little...
then 3 more spawn.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I really like the kind of the Zone Mortalis-y feel of fighting on the ship.
The theme is cool.
The theme is cool, which is one of the reasons when we skip forward to talk about Arena, I'm going to echo back on this. But the part of the problem is I couldn't really get anybody else at the time to actually play it.
Okay.
But the thing that I thought was really cool about this box set, which isn't in here that you haven't mentioned yet, is that they also included a mini codex
Oh, okay.
for 40K rules for both of these factions because they were brand new factions and
Forgot
brand new
about that.
characters and stuff like that. And so to me, the value added for that was amazing,
Right.
Because you could then kind of riff off of that, especially in a narrative format. So, so I thought it was a fantastic set. I think it was really cool because it kind of previewed the style that we then later saw in Blackstone Fortress, where we saw another rogue trader.
Yep. Yep.
And also in terms of advancing the storyline and kind of bringing back the preeminence of rogue traders after the
Cicatrix
Maledictrum. I was going to say Citrix something, but no, it's...
That's a server.
Yeah, I know. I know it is, yeah.
Just call it the Great Rift.
The Great
It's
Rift.
much
There
easier.
you go.
There
I
you go.
like that. But it kind of... Because rogue traders kind of have come back into vogue with the Great Rift because it's like, hey, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Right? You read The Spear of the Emperor, and the first part of that book where it talks about crossing the Great Rift, The Rogue Traders would be like, "You rookie, get out of the way."
Well, and this actually, the background in here talks about how Gilman is leveraging Rogue Traders for this purpose.
And so I think also from a development of the lore and the storyline, it was an important release in that aspect.
I think to that point, in terms of the greater lore of 40K and its full embodiment over time, hitherto unaddressed Rogue Trader model line.
Yep.
What does that actually look like? I mean, for crying out loud, it's the original name of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
And we haven't ever really fully got this. There was some models that were Rogue Traders, maybe ? Way back in the 80s, and then they've been just this background thing.
Right.
That if you were, way back in it, that you're like, oh yeah, I know what those are. That's cool. But to really see them, and
Fleshed out.
Her name is completely escaping me, but. Yeah, getting to see this amazing character model too, with her face cover and frill and the whole deal.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah. All right. But I don't think this really, again, I think this stands alone so much.
I think it's a better standalone game than it is a Kill Team expansion.
I agree. Using Kill Team rules.
Especially since it has commanders. So you can only play this either as the standalone or with commanders.
Which is one of the reasons why we didn't end up playing it, because nobody that I was playing with wanted to have anything to do with commanders.
Right.
I can tell you Matt picked this up and was very excited to play with it as his Kill Team, and then became very discouraged because of that, because he was like,
because the Rogue Trader's a commander.
Yeah. And like, now I really can't use it. And the group I'm with, they'd it's nobody was like, no, Matt, don't play it. Everybody was like, yeah, you can play it. But he didn't want to play outside of the rules most of us were playing with.
Right.
Because he didn't want to be doing the other. I'll be honest, I love everything about this. And I agree 100% with what everybody said about it. It feels like a standalone game. In a weird way, though, I wish this was the model of how Kill Team went forward, that we were getting these boxes with these new and unique Kill Team factions.
That's a really cool
and
point.
Then they were being supported, that we were getting, hey, here's this big box and you've got a Rogue Trader and her, her navy or her retinue.
Or an Inquisitor and his retinue.
Yes. Right. And then let me... in White Dwarf, and they've done a little of this, but not to the degree of now flesh that out. Give me... give me that thing of where that little micro codex starts feeling like maybe I could do this. Good old way back in the day, Gene Stealer Cult, before they had a book. Right. It was, there's this unit. Well, what if I built an army around it? It feels like a missed opportunity that these boxes could have been extended. And I know a lot of Nurgle players.
Do you remember Eisenhorn had a Rogue Trader that he flew around with, right? So it would have been cool to kind of riff on some of those guys that we already have seen in the lore.
When I know Nurgle players wanted to use the Gellerpox,
right?
Wanted that to become a part of their army, and you really can't. You can, but it feels really tacked on.
That was the intention, and maybe sales did not match expectations, and so they backed away from it.
But didn't it sell out?
I don't think so.
Huh?
I don't think so. I can go. They have 3 copies sitting on Game Castle shelf.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I almost picked one up for this because I was like, I gave Adan that one. But then at the price point, I was like, well, I'll ask Adan.
Is it 135 or
something like that?
Yeah.
But
I'll split it with you.
now what they do is they release these box sets, and we'll talk about those next. But the problem is you don't see that unique flavor that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think there would be some interesting value, but we'll talk a little bit about that going forward, because I want to talk about how unique you can make a Kill Team and go from that. So let's do this. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back, and we're going to pick up talking about Kill Team and its evolution.
If you're a true follower of chaos, enjoy killing Tau scum, fry devilfish for breakfast, drink the blood of fire warriors, collect the bones of Kroot fodder, desecrate the cockpits of mantas with demonic sigils, sing songs of chaotic praise and joy, when berserkers chain axe overwatching broadsides, helldrake baleflame shield drones into flying discs of spinning fire, and just all around bask in the path to glory, then the Shrine of Chaos podcast is a must-listen for you. I'm Mini Wargamer Dave from MiniWargaming.com, and I invite you to be a champion of chaos. Listen to the Shrine of Chaos podcast wherever podcasts are downloadable. Thank you, independent characters, for allowing this message from the Eye of Terror.
All right, we're back, and we are continuing to talk about Kill Team and its evolution here. Next up comes a release, Kill Team Arena.
Yes.
So, Kill Team Arena is focused on balancing the play, so you have kind of the same advantage on both sides regarding terrain. It's geared towards playing in tournaments.
Yes, specifically before that.
Prior to this coming out, a tournament is run at Adepticon. Seems to go great. Like people seem to have a good time playing in that tournament.
I did hear some comments about it really depended on which side of the board you ended up on.
Yeah, maybe.
So
but of course it is. Roll better, choose better.
Well, but I mean, for 40K, it does too.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
exactly.
although a lot of these tournaments, they set up the tables pretty.
They're symmetrical.
So there's a
often as
different
possible.
focus,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
This is now all about symmetrical warfare, not asymmetrical warfare. It is, in some ways, I think. I don't know. I enjoy the challenge of sometimes maybe not being, in the best position and fighting your way out of it. I think that can be, but that's neither here nor there. This expansion is focused on balance and competitive play. In the box, which runs, I think, $90, it comes with 4 game boards with their own environment rules, which I think that's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
There's instructions also for running team tournaments. Again, look, people are going to know my stance on this. Like, I am not into the whole competitive play thing. This does not really speak to me as a version that I need to play. I don't feel like the game needs to be perfectly balanced of a board game to be fun, but I can understand why a tournament player would want those things, right? That everybody comes to the table equally and we see who the best player is, I guess, at that point. But it removes many of the things that I love about Kill Team, which is variety of terrain, making tables that look really cool. It's a board game with, there's a door here and a door here, so you have the equal starting that I have, and there's a door here and a door here, and you have to decide which one you're going to kind of go through. Again, as I always say with tournament stuff, like, I recognize why people like it. This may be a preferred way for people to play the game tournament-wise. At the events I have been at, Nova, Adepticon, LVO, I'm not seeing a lot of this gameplay. I did see it played at Nova, but I also saw a lot of Kill Team tables that just had terrain on them that people were playing at and running events there. So that's my take on it. At $90 price point, it isn't. I'm not going to get my value out of it. I bought it for research for the show. It does come in the box also with some terrain. So it comes with doors. It comes with some pipes and crates and things that block line
The
of
stuff
sight.
that you need to set up the boards that they give you.
Yeah. But that terrain's pretty nice, to be honest with you.
It's good scattered terrain.
Yep. Thoughts?
Frankly, this really surprised me.
Oh, really?
I did not see this one coming. It surprised me, and part of that is because to your point of the 3 ways to play in the 41st millennium, this is now a second flavor of that small scale.
Okay.
It's Kill Team, but it's not Kill Team. It's a very different Kill Team experience that's kind of in that same Kill Team slot of a small scale 40K game.
Okay.
I think part of the reason of why it was released is probably because of the success of Warhammer Underworlds. They saw that there was a demand and a market for a balanced, more competitively oriented, like quick play,
That's a good point.
board game style game. But this one, it still surprised me and is personally not for me. I will be fully honest that I have not played this flavor of Kill Team yet myself, but love the terrain, love the board, and to my point of it, I will be happy to take those assets that come in this box and play the Zone Mortalis scenarios of Necromunda.
Sure.
Because I think it would be fun for that, but actually as a Kill Team experience, not for me.
Not what
myself.
you were looking for.
Yep.
Jody.
So hats off to GW for really doubling down on, there are 3 ways to play our game. There's competitive, there's narrative, and there's open.
Yes.
So
sure.
here's the
Nice.
competitive that generally it wasn't fully realized, I think, in the core set. I recently heard this expression. It's a new expression to me that I like a lot. This was a solution looking for a problem. That
We talk about that at work often.
yeah. This is, and that's where I heard it, and I was like, oh, I
what
love
is
that.
it you're trying to solve for here?
Yes. And I think very similar to what you were saying, Josh, is like, who exactly was asking for this product?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the tournament organizers were. I
Maybe.
think that I think some of them had a hand in pushing this forward. I know for a fact Mike Brandt worked on this as well. I think they saw it as another version of a balanced tournament that they could run. The thing is, I feel like those balanced tournament people are primarily all playing 40K
at those big
balanced
events. They're
event
going to be in
level.
the big show, not the kill team show.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious how it's sold. I'm like really curious how well it's done.
I'd be surprised at Adepticon to really see. Being the biggest one, it's been out for a while. It's not something that's kind of just been released, and see how big of a presence
it'll be interesting to see
at Adepticon.
Adan, I keep seeing you shake your head, but then nod, but then shake your head, and then get a weird look on your face. But it could just be your
That's just
overgrown,
Adan.
overgrown mustache.
That's
Goatee.
just me. Playing with his amazing goatee.
He's got gas.
Okay, enough with the old guy jokes. Okay, I agree. I disagree. So
Good.
That sums it up.
I have the feeling, and I'm trying to remember the timeline in my head, but I'm pretty confident that this was probably already in the development / production pipeline by the time Underworlds was out. So I don't think that it was a reaction to Underworlds.
Interesting.
I think that they were trying to do parallel paths in the two genres.
It's possible.
So, and they did it in different ways, right? So the small version of AOS that you can play competitively is Underworlds, right? And the small version of 40K that you can play competitively might be Arena. It's a way to do it. So here's the thing. A couple things I really like about Arena. One is that I love Zone Mortalis.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think of this as a way to play Kill Team competitively. I can think of it as a way to play Zone Mortalis and Kill Team.
That's
Because
true.
it's basically, when you look at the rules, they are basically Zone Mortalis rules.
Okay.
Right? And I don't have to set up the boards the way that they set them up.
That's true.
But I also kind of like the symmetry. I when I set up a room, I always like, no, that couch isn't centered. You know,
Your feng shui.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm anti feng shui. I want it to be centered and square, and
You're messing with my feng shui.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it would be. It's actually
I'm
a
swaying
really
your fang. Yeah.
that no. Hey, easy. Get away from my
family show.
schwang.
Yeah.
But actually, the interesting thing is, you're absolutely right. Like a normal kill team board, what we would consider a normal kill team board, is more of a feng shui thing. I like where this sits
Yep.
here.
I like the look of it.
This brings me joy to have this thing sit in this location.
And so here's the other thing. It's like, okay,
It's a good point. The number of times I've moved a barrel or crate because I'm like, I don't like that.
I don't like that.
And
That's right
I'm
there.
going, I know that's better for gameplay. I don't care.
But then you move it over and you're like, that's better.
yeah, it looks
Right.
better. So,
Interesting.
So here's the other thing is, and you kind
Feng
of touched
shui
on this,
kill
Carl,
team.
in terms of the tournament organizers having some hand in this. Is okay. Love it or hate it, the Frontline Gaming filled a niche in competitive 40K by coming up with their standardized boards, their standardized terrain, standardized rules for how terrain works. You can't see through the first level, blah, 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 blah. these
Clearly,
different
they
things.
hit a target because a lot of people like it and play
there's
it.
hundreds of people who attend these events.
Yeah.
And all
thousands.
these and all of these independent places that are using the ITC rules, it struck a chord with people. It's something they wanted to see. They liked seeing it. So back to, I kind of disagree with Josh on this a little bit, is I think it does fill the three ways that they want, they say open narrative competitive, because regular kill team really is narrative. And this is the way to play it competitively. And so it's the GW went and has attended LVO, has attended Adepticon, and they go, oh, okay, this really does ring people's bell. Let's do it at the kill team level. And Arena is a way to do that.
Yeah.
Now, somebody might come up with their own way to do it. That's fine. But this is an in-the-box way to do it. Because here's the thing. With regular kill team, I talked about it a little bit already when I talked about the campaign system. They also came out with a campaign kit for commanders, and they also came out with a campaign kit for elites. All of those also had cool cards, cool swag, cool tokens, medals that you could earn, but you had to go through a campaign system to do it. The Arena kit is not like that. The Arena kit is a tournament kit. You run a 1-day, 2-day Arena event.
Let's be honest, a 4-hour.
Well, right. I mean, depending on how many rounds you want to do it, right? And so
It's easy. The game should not take that
80
long.
minutes.
no, right. So, right. I mean, like when I run Warhammer Underworlds, when I run an event, no, it doesn't take all day. We'll do 3 rounds and we'll be done. And
everybody goes and gets lunch.
yeah, I mean, depending on what time you start. But yes, if you were to start at 9 a.m., you could probably all have lunch together at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So with the award ceremony. So,
And
so
bathroom breaks.
so the same thing with Arena, right? You can run it as a tournament, not a campaign.
Yeah, I get you.
And
That's
so-
actually interesting. That's a good point.
And I think that one of the things that when people think Kill Team, they're thinking, as we said earlier, they're playing one-off games. They're not playing the extended games. And I want to go back to something that Jody said that I think that is something you might be missing out on to think about, because you tend to play with the same group of folks
Sure.
in general.
yeah.
So don't play one-off games.
He's got a point. I mean, we were already like
just track your
campaigning-
games.
campaigning
No,
our 40K
Just
game.
just campaign your kill team.
That's funny because my 40K play is definitely going much more that direction.
Yeah, so just do it with your kill teams. Just keep track of what happened.
Yeah.
And the next time
Shouldn't be
you
that
play
hard.
it, you might be able to level up because you have to pay more points for it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It levels out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Might
there's
be
no
worth us trying.
and there's no
Yeah, for
reason
sure.
you can't.
I mean, I
And
think that's a great point.
It's also
Right
really
on.
possible that you could go to one of the many stores that you all know about. You could probably pick up their kit from them because they probably didn't run it as an event.
That's good.
And you could get the cards and stuff.
Maybe.
the kill team cards to track your progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can also download them or Xerox them off the back of the book. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on Arena.
I think those are solid.
And I
solid
think
points.
that I really, really wish that I could get people off their butts in my new area to actually play this, because I have offered to run all 4 of those kits. They have all 4 kits sitting on the shelf at Baxter's. I'm like, dude, I really want to run this, but nobody seems interested in playing it in that
Why
area.
do you think that is?
Interesting.
Because they're all, my personal opinion does not necessarily reflect the opinion of the East Valley of
the
Phoenix.
or the independent characters,
Or the independent characters, yeah.
Or to their affiliates.
Table war inclusion.
but I think that there feels to me like everybody's focused on wanting to get to the point where they can play ITC games.
Oh, that's okay.
Even the beginners league, it's ITC light. So everybody wants that's their holy grail. I want to be able to go to SoCal Open. I want to be able to go to LVO. I want to be able to play.
It's a fair approach too, though, right? I mean,
Sure. No, absolutely.
If that's, it's good that they're at least focused on something.
Yeah. No, I think it's
but
fine.
I think they're missing out.
I think it's fine.
Yep.
And part of it is that there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, of course.
Because on the one hand, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, everybody's like, oh, where's my specialist games? Oh, how come they don't have this anymore? Oh, how come they don't have Necromunda anymore? And now that all these games are out there, nobody has time to play them all.
Yeah. I think actually some solid points there, Adan. I really appreciate that. The next thing, let's move forward from Arena.
Yes.
Have we all covered what we want to about Arena?
Yeah.
Moving forward, the other thing that, and these expansions kind of came out they've come out for a while, and then I haven't seen any in a little while, are the Kill Zones expansions. Now, these were ways for them to introduce new play areas, including like environmental rules, but also specific terrain that they could add to it, new boards, and I think even thematically, did they include armies in them?
No, but they have.
But they had
army thematic missions,
right?
Yes,
like the
yes.
orc. There was like an orc one,
right,
and
yes.
I couldn't remember if they came with a model or not.
They don't have models, but some of the
Other
terrain
than the
is
terrain.
key to a faction.
Yes.
Right, that
Yeah.
was it.
Right,
that
right,
was
right.
it.
Like the orcs one with the crane, they could like drive it.
Which is the coolest one.
Yes, it
out
is.
of all of them.
It is.
So
That's
you
why
have
I remember
that
it.
one.
I do have the orc one, and I absolutely love it, and
So-
I've got to play it a few times.
Okay, so tell us like what keyed you into buying that,
So
and do you feel you got value out of that?
yeah, so if you want to jump back and hear the full spiel on this, when we did the Kill Team Necromunda
Yeah, you talked about it,
discussion, I talked about that I didn't buy the core box.
Right.
Right.
And it wasn't that there was anything wrong with the core box. I just wanted to see value-wise if I went the other direction of buying the Kill Team, the Orc box, faction box,
Right.
The Kill Zone and the rule book, and went that route. how I felt about that, because it was actually, if I remember right, it was actually cheaper to
Yeah,
go
it's a
that
decent
route,
value. Yeah.
than it was to buy just the core box. And I absolutely still feel like that was
And less expensive than buying that terrain separately too.
Yeah. Was a great, for me, and where my needs were, was a great investment to customize things. I liked that, since I knew in Kill Team, once I looked through the core rules, I knew like, oh, I'm largely going to be playing my orcs, because you know, it was orcs, sisters, and demons is largely what I've been playing in 40K, and went, welp, looks like I'm playing orcs.
Yeah.
Because those other two factions didn't exist. So and then I got to look at all all the accoutrements. And like, man, getting the faction specific cards, which was where you got the extended card set of stratagems for your unique faction.
Only place you could get them.
Yeah. And golly, they sure are good. You really want those. And I made a Primaris Ultramarine Kill Team and picked up that box as well. And my goodness,
The Space Wolf one.
Yeah. They go from good to outstanding with the one stratagem point. You don't die.
Yes.
On a 2 wound guy is,
It's 2 points.
sorry, 2 points.
Still really
Still
good.
really
The
good.
best stratagem in the game.
Yeah, it's, oh no, he's just not dead. He just keeps going. Like, oh, so a 3rd wound. Great. Yeah, they're fantastic. They're super flavorful and fun. They let you pick and choose what terrain you want. I actually really like the cardboard boards that come with it.
Yep.
The finish they put on them is, I don't know.
It's like a matte finish.
It's almost matte. It's not fully matte, but it's
almost like
really
satin.
Well, no, it's much more on the matte end, but it's, I don't know. It's really nice.
It's
nice.
Nicely done. It's just nice.
It's matten.
both on this.
That was beautiful. Yeah, so I'm actually a huge proponent of these boxes for the
GW
most part.
sells Matten in a can.
You go spray it on.
About $45.
I do have one grumble about these sets, though, and it's pretty egregious. The Sector Frontieris box came out for the Gene Stealer, and it was the Gene Stealer cult
With the drill?
No. It had the
It had a sector
Pipes and
mechanicum thing.
it had the default, the like really easy to build terrain.
Yeah.
Ruins corners.
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
That one.
In that set, there was a complete building with a roof that you could build.
Right. Yep.
So you got, and they've never released that set anywhere else.
Oh, interesting.
And that set
Is a limited
like
release.
all of them. Josh, go ahead.
Oh,
You're gonna want. See, I was hoping you'd get me off the hook for my head popping. So you've heard me rant about this before. They're limited releases. These boxes are, and you're gonna get gouged on eBay because people buy them out and then gouge you on
Part 'em
eBay,
out.
and it makes me furious because that's just lame. Yeah, and GW, please release this kit. Why can I not get a complete building from you guys?
Interesting.
And it's weird that we were very fortunate in our area that having 2 people who wanted to play Gene Stealer Cult for Kill Team, and there's a small store called Gamers Den in Watsonville, and they had 2 of them, and they were able to grab them up. But they could have also just bought them. These Matt and Cliff could have bought these and turned around and quadrupled their money on eBay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
They go for about $150.
Holy
on-
cow.
Yeah.
It costs time to run that tool on the machine, and you got to then design a box and package it up
They've
and
already
hope
paid
it sells
for the
enough.
tooling, though. Tooling's the most expensive
No,
thing.
but not the time on the machine to run the tool.
And you got to spray the board with Matten.
Yeah,
And we've just
that
determined
Matten's
how
expensive.
expensive that is.
Yeah. So
$45
anyway,
a can at wholesale.
I have a point about this a little bit later, but yes, I see where you're going with that, and I think it's an important point. But I
To
do
put
see
a
the other side of it.
limited, one-of-a-kind piece of terrain in one of these boxes. And I don't remember seeing when these came out any discussion of like, these are limited.
No,
It-
I don't remember that either.
And it was, I think everybody was really kind of caught off guard. It was like, oh, I think I'll go pick that one up.
Yeah, I was bummed that they were out for a very limited period
Yeah.
of time. Even though, like, I sat there with one in my hand for a while, kind of going back and forth on, do I really want to buy this? And I was at the point just buying it for the board. And I was like,
Right.
I'm going to spend, I think it was like $40 or $45 was the set. I was like, do I really want to spend $45 just for this board? And I put it back down, and now I can't get it.
Well, and that Gene Stealer one you're talking about, I actually had it in my hand as well when it came out. I kind of went through the same thing that Carl was talking about with each set, and I was like, I will never use these cards, right? And do I really want this? Do I really want to buy this box for this terrain set that badly.
Right.
Because like the orc one, you could buy all those separately.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you can't get those cards.
Yeah. But the cards you couldn't, but I didn't care about the cards.
You didn't.
Right.
And this, I'll be also
Mission cards are fun.
Yeah, the mission cards are really fun,
Yeah.
and they are very narrative. Like,
And I didn't realize there were specific mission cards in there.
Yeah, that the missions that are in there with on cards, and then there are stratagems that are used in that terrain for that thing. But that is highly narrative. It isn't very likely with playing with those, you're going to end up with a wildly imbalanced game.
Yes.
Also
But also
incredibly fun.
there's a 3-player game that me and Matt played.
Yeah.
And it was like a cash grab in the middle. I don't
Yeah.
remember if it was the Gene Stealer one or if it was an orc scenario. But as a 3-player game, it's just a pile of things in the middle, and there's, I think, 2 per player. So there's like 6 tokens, and we're all going after that. But it was super thematic on what happened, and it's just trying to, I think it was teeth, like collect orc teeth or something like that.
Or that's how I narrated it.
I mean, it balanced out a 3-player game beautifully and was super fun. And
Reminds me of
thematic
Schrader's
along those.
pen and ink thing he did with the orc with the teeth and the
Yeah.
and the weapons
The
places
half-off
closed.
NACA.
Half of Taka sold out. Yeah, and maybe that's the perfect cartoon for these boxes.
Yeah.
Is
Well, yeah.
half
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Taka sold out.
Sold out.
Damn it. Yeah, they're great. They're a lot of fun. If it's a faction you want to play, I really would encourage you to pick one up. They're not essential though. I mean, by no means are these essential, especially in light of, and we'll touch on it again. We brought it up a couple times, but the table war mats. If you invested and got those, these kill zone boxes, really, really become less valuable to you if you have terrain. But if you like the boards,
And the
which I
missions.
do,
If
and
you
want
were
those
only
missions-
playing Kill Team, these might be the way to go.
oh heck,
Oh yeah.
yeah, they're a hoot.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun. Not essential though.
Yeah. Okay. Adan, did you want to add anything? I'm sorry we didn't touch on some of your notes on that particular
Yeah,
part.
no, they kind of mirrored what they did with those boxes in Warcry. So in Warcry, on the fantasy side, do you remember seeing the Mausoleum set? It's kind of a graveyard set with fences around it and stuff like that. Well,
Yeah.
Yes.
It included the Moor.
Yeah.
The Garden of Moor.
Garden of Moor. Yeah. So they've repackaged that box, that set of terrain, 3 different ways now. And because it had an old name in the old world, and then now in the current one, it's called the Blasted Halospheres. I can't remember what it's called, but in Warcry, they put it together with a set of cards and missions and things set up just for that terrain. You build it in a specific way. The card shows you how to set up the terrain, and then there's missions that you play on that board. And it has a board in it as well. So it's very, very reminiscent of the Kill Team stuff. But you can buy that terrain separately. Like they have the one that looks like almost like an Egyptian thing with the two sphinxes, or not sphinxes, but the lions.
Right, griffins.
The griffins, yeah, the 2 griffin statues and stuff like that. Well, they had that kit on the market, and they took it off the market. You couldn't get those griffins in any other way other than that Warcry kit, and then they released that kit again, packaged separately. So it is interesting that the Gene Steel Cult one has not come out as a separate box, because on the Warcry side, they're doing something very similar, where they're taking terrain that they already have, they're packaging it up. There's 3 of them now. There's the one with the griffins. There's the graveyard, and then the original Warcry box set has terrain that you can buy separately now.
Sure.
So, but if you can only get it with the terrain cards on the stuff if you buy it in the Warcry set. Right.
The
And so and it doesn't look like those are limited. I'm hoping they're not. I happened to buy them when they came out. I pre-ordered them, but because I wanted the cards and I didn't want to get kill teamed. Right. I didn't want to get Warzone, so I ordered them all. But yeah, so I think that they were. This is a case where they were kind of testing out that style.
Sure.
Of marketing and packaging, and so maybe they'll go back to the Kill Team and give us those kits again. So hopefully you get your Gene Sealer Cult kit.
Yeah, that would be nice. And 2 things. One, I misspoke a second ago. I blended 2 expansions together. The Killzone cards are only Killzone specific faction cards for that faction. I said earlier that they had your faction stratagems. those came.
That was
Those
in
are
a
those
different
in
box.
the
boxes.
kill
In
team
the kill
boxes.
team
So
Kill team
I was
box,
blending those
yeah.
together. So
let's talk
before
about
you-
the kill team.
Well, we'll
box.
get to that right
Because
now.
what you
That's
meant
next.
to do was segue into that.
Another great segue.
So again, though, we run into a case where these are available for a limited amount of time, and then vanish.
right.
Right now, there are 3 available. The Dolores Strain, which are Death Guard, the Fractal Blades, which are Thousand Sun, and Tufripa's Crew, which are Orcs.
Yeah.
Some examples of ones they had a Death Guard, Death Watch one. They had Krog Skull's Boys, which were Orcs. They had Drop Force Imperator, which was Astra Militarum. Advanced Team Star Pulse, which was
Tau.
Tau.
And then
Yep.
they had Space Wolf one.
And a Space Wolf one. Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one. But they're filtering through these things, and this goes back, Jody, to the point I was trying to make earlier, and you made around Rogue Trader. Like, it would be interesting if they released a specialized kill team that consisted of a commander, a couple models, elites, that you could build up. That's fairly static. Maybe you could add models from other groups to it a little bit, but it made it unique, because right now what they do is basically release these kill team box sets. They repackage models that they already have. For instance, the Fractal Blades, as I mentioned earlier, are all Terminators in it, Scarab Occult Terminators. You get the cards with them, so you get new abilities that you can use, which is
stratagems.
great.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're very good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is where they get you.
But, and I think they run $50, $60.
60 sounds right.
I think 60 is about the price point there. It's interesting what they're doing, that they're releasing, here you go, you can play with this whole set. I don't know what the points of that Fractal Blades builds out to. I got to imagine it's pretty pricey for 5 Terminators or whatever's in that box. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like an out of the box experience for me.
What do you mean out of the box
I mean,
experience?
I guess I can pull those models out and play just those models, and that's it, right? And then, but it just doesn't seem like it offers a whole lot of variety. You're not getting any variety in those boxes, is what I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no.
Like, that's
Well,
it.
Going back to what Josh was saying earlier about the entry level thing, the 13-year-old kid starting from scratch.
This is the way to go.
That might be important. Now, the thing that bothers me about this is that they don't give you a complete kill team in the box.
Is it
Well,
not? See,
and I
that's
don't-
kind of
and
what
here's
I'm
the thing.
saying.
I don't know about the current boxes,
But the previous one.
but the previous boxes, you had to add models to them to have
to get to 100 points.
an actual workable roster.
Yeah, see, and that's a problem.
Because that was a problem with the Space Wolf one and the Tau one. Because I looked at the Tau one hard because I really wanted to play a Tau kill team.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting.
But it wasn't a viable kill team right out of the box. Now, this is the same point I'm going to make that I had written on the previous one in the notes, but this is where it would be really cool, in my personal opinion, to have some type of paywall version of a way to buy the cards separately.
Yeah.
Because if you're the Josh mentioned new player who's getting in and buying that box, that's great. It's actually good for them because they get some models, they get some cards, they get some cool stuff. For the veteran players like us, you have a fully realized Thousand Suns
I don't
army.
need to buy.
You don't need those models.
Yeah, and actually, it was funny because I was standing there.
It's a waste of the models.
At Game Castle talking with Israel.
Yeah.
And I'm holding the box. And I'm like, we're doing this show on this, and I'm kind of buying it for research. And I'm like, I want the cards. I go, the problem is I don't need these models. And he's like, yeah, but you could sell those models on eBay. Like, he goes, sometimes I'll buy a box and then turn around and sell those components on eBay. And I'm like, yeah, I could. I go, or maybe I come up with some reason to need more Scarab Occult Terminators. Highly unlikely. I'll be honest, highly unlikely at this point. So maybe I will just offload them on eBay or something.
But, so Paizo has a really good paywall method if you play their organized Pathfinder game, and you have your Paizo account and you buy spells or whatever you're going to buy. When you print it out, it's watermarked with your name and ID number.
Oh, interesting.
So you can't
like go sell them.
You can't go sell them. You can't
print it
pirate
out
them
for all your buddies.
Right, because it's very clear on there that it's yours. So if just like when you play an event, everybody has to have their own book, right? Well, if you're going to have the printed out PDF cards for your kill team, they better have your watermark on them, or
totally
you can't play.
Well,
it.
it's a step simpler is look what they did with Warcry, where the existing factions not in the box set had an $8 card pack, and you're ready to go.
That's what I wish they would just
exactly what
do.
I wish they had for Kill Team.
Yep.
I actually
Dude, in fact, they could just continue to
Those were limited, by the way.
Oh, really?
They are limited?
Yep.
I think they're gone.
They're gone.
What?
Yes.
Well, that's all right. Anyway,
I'm fine with that, but
I'm good.
yeah.
I bought my Warcry faction, and it's sitting still at the store over in Los Gatos.
Yeah.
Because they had the fire next door.
Oh,
and
right.
the store's been closed for like 2 months now.
Oh, no.
I was messaging with the manager. I'm like, so he's like, yeah. So I think you've still got some stuff there. I'm like, yeah, Sister of Battle, the one that you can only get in the thing, and this Warcry. All right. So I could go buy another one elsewhere and just return that one or something.
It's a good game. Let's talk.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, you're right though. The packs would, and the thing was, they could like continue to expand on it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That would be awesome.
So
you would
bought
suck me in so hard with that. Jesus Christ. What am I suggesting? Do not do that. Games Workshop.
It'll never happen.
It's going to happen tomorrow.
There you go. So I bought the easy to build Primaris kit, the Intercessors and the Reavers, because that's a perfect kill team right there.
It sure is.
But I bought those two things because I had eBay credit, so it ended up costing me like $4 to make a kill team. But I unfortunately bought those before they released the actual kill team box set, which was essentially the exact same thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I missed out on those cards, and I can't get just those cards.
Right.
And one of those cards is really good. So I did some design work and made just a cheat sheet of the tactics that they have available.
Yeah,
Since
right.
I don't
There's a
have the
workaround,
cards,
but it would be nice if they just sold them as cards.
Yeah, and
that would be
I happily
awesome.
would have paid the $8 to have the actual cards to go with that.
That's
faction,
interesting
but,
that those
yeah.
Warcry card sets are.
And again, I don't know how if they figured it was going to be that popular, so they paid for one run.
Maybe
it's just like a board game.
Yeah.
A lot of board games they only do one run
and it sells out.
Yeah.
And oops.
And we're seeing this across GW's
across
almost all their games. Like Blitz Bowl, this is becoming an interesting issue right now because weird as it is, they expanded that game.
Incredible.
Huge problem with Adeptus Titanicus early on.
Right, getting the cards, everybody. And actually, I was just thinking, Adeptus Titanicus seems like the right model to me for how they could release these cards.
Yep.
Is you release a kill team core box, and it's all the faction stratagem cards for the core box.
Yeah.
Here's the commander's box, and it's all of the stratagem cards for that. Here's the elites box, and somebody goes, I don't want to buy them all. Well, it's a way to get them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but I think Adan, you're absolutely right that they're, by and large, they're a miniature company first. They make miniatures and terrain. The paper products seem, other than rule books, certainly not rule books, but the paper components piece of expanding their board games has pretty consistently been lagging behind.
Yeah, that's true.
Or it's not getting produced at the same volume as far as rate.
I think part of it is that because they are not typically in that market, they just don't know where to throw the dart in terms of production.
Maybe
for
numbers,
demand anticipation.
Demand anticipation.
It's tough to say with something like this too.
It really is.
I mean, when we were playtesting it, like I struggled to find people in our playtest group to play with me.
Guilty.
Nobody was interested, and people flat out said, "I have zero interest in this." I'm like, "Come on, this is our job to try this out." And finally, I started playing it with one other individual, and then next thing you know, it's like
it's a thing.
It comes out, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is great." I'm like, "I hate all of you so much right now."
Totally fair.
So we're already kind of delving into not only third-party support, but where we kind of want to see things go a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about third-party support and other options here for Kill Team, because we've mentioned multiple times Table War has released playmats to play on.
Fantastic.
There are other companies doing that now too.
Yeah. Oh, of course there is.
Yeah.
Of
They're
course
just not as good.
But also I would say this guy's idea.
There you go. You finally get to claim one, Carl.
I was like, Doug, you got to do this. And he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And finally, I go to Todd. I'm like, Todd, you got to do this. Next thing I know, I get a message from Doug. How come you're making more work for me? I go, work? I'm making money for you, buddy. I'm telling you, put these out.
They have put them out. They are reasonably priced for what you get.
Yeah. And that initial deal they had was awesome.
Yeah. And when you go to events, sometimes they have the single-sided ones because they're double-sided right now. But if you go to events, they sell the single-sided ones. And I think they're like $20 a pop or something like that. It's a really good deal.
Super steal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really do check out Table War for mats if you're looking for them. We use them all the time.
Yeah.
Coin protectors for your tokens. Like people have seen this and they've seen ours multiple times. I buy these.
The quarter size, right? Or,
I can't remember the
no, it's a
exact
little bit
size.
bigger. Yeah.
I'll post in the show notes the ones I bought off Amazon. But they fit the round tokens perfectly. They protect them. They keep them easy to pick up. Just more durable. I really like it.
Michael Dunsmore bought a larger box set, and it came with a case to hold them.
Yeah, he
which
actually
was
got
like,
the super good one.
Oh, that's rad.
And he got it at like the same price I paid for the one.
So maybe find that link.
I'll find that one and like
that's a better link.
I like his.
Along that line, and I have it later, but it matches right here with the coins. I joked earlier that you get so many tokens. There is one token you do not get in the rules, and it's weird that you don't.
Which is
bleeding.
Oh yeah,
if a character is bleeding.
Yeah.
you have a shaken token, but not a bleeding, and bleeding happens more,
a lot,
way more than shaken.
Way more than shaken. So what I encourage you to do is, if you are interested in kill teaming and you're doing a lot of it, you can find glass counter beads or just go to any hobby store, and in the floral section they have
Michael's or whatever. Yeah,
the vase beads. They're just glass dabs,
and they're super cheap. As compared to going to a game store and buying them.
Yeah. And if you want to be fancy, get some red ones because they actually kind of look like blood drops on the wheel. Yeah. I always have a little bag in with my case, and it works great. It's another third party. Yeah. And as Adan said, go to a hobby store. Don't go to a craft store.
Not a game store.
A game store.
No.
Where they repackage them and sell them for 5 times
as Magic the Gathering life tokens or whatever. And you get 20.
Not a third party thing, but that GW Kill Team case.
Those are
as well.
Well, and they've rebranded that for Warcry and for Underworld.
And then they just have a generic black one.
Generic black one. Yep.
Totally worth getting. Like that thing is great.
Yeah.
When I just went out to Europe, I was going to play Kill Team. I misscheduled because I was playing the Aeronautica Imperialis with Justin Hill. And that's all I brought. I just brought the rule book, and a dice box.
I use the KR half case.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
It's just a little bit bigger, but slightly bigger.
But I do like the durability of that GW case.
Yeah.
Adan, you said
Every Little War. It's a company out, just local company. They do a thing called a kill board, and I've showed it to you before. It's triple.
Rad.
It's 3 layers. It's laser cut wood, but it has magnets on the sides. And when all 3 layers are together, it magnets together, and the top says kill board or kill team or whatever. And you take the first layer off, and it's all the spaces for all the tokens, and they're cut in such a way that it's easy to take the tokens out. And so all the tokens from the core set fit in that. And then the third layer is a display or a movement tray or a carry tray for your models.
Interesting.
And it's cut for both 25 and 32-inch bases.
That's pretty nice looking.
It doesn't, your basic
really
infantry guys.
When I saw that last time,
and so you can put each level below the other, and so it stays
the kill
together.
Panel.
It's called the kill board.
Yeah, but then when you look at the surface, it says kill panel.
Kill panel, yeah, because they can't call it kill team, yeah. But yeah, everylittlewar.com.
Interesting.
Great product.
Yep.
Of course, if you have your tokens and coin holders, they're not going to fit in this.
That's true.
So just be aware of that.
Make a choice.
Make a choice. Yeah.
But the acrylic ones that you get in the supported kits do fit.
Oh, interesting. So also I've bought a couple different versions of these, but these are markers for your kill team specialists. And they're usually like a little ring that goes around the base.
Yep.
I just bought some when I was at Nova, and the ring kind of slips into it, so it clips in and holds it. There's a couple issues, though, with it I ran into. One, they're designed so specifically to use with the plastic GW bases. My resin base is just slightly too small, and sometimes it'll slip off. And also, they're a little fragile. I'll post links to where you can get those. So I've broken 2 of them already.
Oh, no.
So I wasn't, I was kind of disappointed in that.
What if you were to maggot, take off the clip off the back and maggot? Magnetize it.
Oh, maggot?
Sorry, magnetize it.
For a guy who doesn't like Nurgle, that was
that's pretty gross.
Double maggot drop.
You got a maggot.
6 or 7 maggots, squish it in there, it'll hold.
Yeah. And then
Can you blue tack it, or is it
That's
since you don't have dedicated kill team models, you have 40K models you're playing?
Yeah, I almost feel like it'd be better to somehow mark the base on these guys or something along those lines. I don't know.
Well, you got 5 new Scarab Occult Terminators. You just make a dedicated kill team.
Trust me.
There you go. Problem solved.
Those are going to stay on sprue for a long, long time.
Black Legion.
Unless somebody else puts them. They don't. Oh, wait a minute.
Now that you have your black figured out, you can lay it down pretty easy.
That's true.
Yeah. Black Scarab Legion.
You son of a
You're welcome.
Light bulb.
son of an orc. Okay.
Your mama was a pod.
Speaking of tokens, there are tons of 3D print options out there also.
Yeah, that's true.
If you are looking to do some custom tokens, custom sizes, more than you need, if you're doing a large batch of a kill team, or you want to have more than comes in any of the standard boxes, you can print as many as you need.
GW offers also either I think they offer it. I'll provide a link to it. An editable PDF for kill team cards.
Yeah,
so you
they
can
do.
go
Those
in.
are
Yeah, they
great.
do.
Yep.
Super great.
From the community page.
But they also have a kill team command roster where you can just build
Yes,
your
that's
kill
really
team
good.
on it, which is pretty nice too.
Yeah.
So also there's kill team options in Battle Scribe if you're doing that.
Yep.
Right.
So super cool there. We talked about the blood markers. Campaigns.
I put that in there. I've talked about it during the course of the show. They have kits out there. Some of the stores haven't used them. You can still order them, I believe. They can order them. So those kits are out there. They have a lot of cool stuff in them, a lot of great framework for running events over courses of weeks and actually playing Kill Team as it was designed for leveling your dudes up and getting their specialists at different levels. So
very cool.
I will say that's my one complaint with Kill Team is that the campaign system's just built into the core book, is their little
So there you
resource
go.
thing built in.
Now I can remove this sticky that's stuck.
However, you need to have one of these store event kits to run a true campaign of it, where for me, if I'm playing a skirmish game, the built-in core rulebook campaign is so light. There's no advancement. It's just a resource that you lose if you lose the game.
Yeah.
It's not really gaining. It's not really advancing, anything like that.
your specialists advance.
Yeah.
You know,
You can do the
skill.
next
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But compared to a game like Necromunda, which is same scale,
This is
but
exactly
goes
what my
in
note
so
says
much
there.
more depth
right.
of those
the Necromunda
advancements,
was
like-
much better.
This is exactly what my note here says.
Yeah.
Says I'd like to see a campaign system as detailed as Necromunda for this.
Exactly. So for my time, if I'm investing into a campaign of a skirmish level game, I'm definitely going to go Necromunda over Kill Team, as is in the book.
Yeah.
And I would say don't necessarily think about it as investing into a campaign. I would just say campaign the games you're already playing.
I think that's a great.
Yeah,
I
it
think that's
is a good
great,
suggestion.
great suggestion.
Because you guys played a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then you list a couple things here about hobby possibilities. I don't know who
That was
threw this
me.
in.
That's me.
Yeah.
So, and
could've
actually,
guessed.
this was weird. Yeah, that I'd be like hobby. But actually, Adan, this came from something you shared, and that with one of the beauties of Kill Team is you don't need so many models,
Right.
The reality is you don't need a ton of models for it. If you are hobby timid, get out there, do it. Get some paint on your models. Anything looks better than bare plastic and primer. Even poorly painted looks better than non-painted. So this to me is
And your friend might offer to repaint them for you.
and he might, depending on who that is, because they care and you put out the effort, which is impressive. So, there's no excuse with Kill Team to not be playing fully painted, and it's just so good for your hobby and your community. If you put out, even if it's 8 models, 10 models, and they have paint on them and they're finished to the best of your ability, people are going to be impressed. Don't be intimidated to get out there and paint. And there's really no reason with this low of a model count to not get that done. Now, that said, my God, how cool are the dedicated kill teams that people do, where it's like these models are custom made as that is. There is no doubt who the specialists are and how they do what they do. And holy geez,
So let me
those are
tell you,
impressive.
Sarah Kaiser's army.
Okay, there's another level.
Her kill team stuff is insane. Plus the custom cards she writes and creates and everything. But like she had a backstory for every single one of her guys.
Yeah.
One of her guys has a heavy autocannon, and it's got like she modeled basically wrapping around it, and she went through this whole thing about how it's possessed by a demon, and he can't look at the face, so he kind of wraps it up so he can't look at it.
Awesome.
And it's just incredible. And this speaks to this episode was supposed to be about Inquisitor,
Right.
essentially.
Well, sure.
But
That's still coming.
It's still coming. We're short of time, but the Inquisitor 28 movement,
Yes,
if you will,
right.
is very much about artistic license and that kind of thing. And when Colin and I and Shadow Wars Armageddon came out, that's what we wanted. I want to make 6-7 guys. I'm going to totally go all in on each guy,
Convert them.
yeah, all this stuff. This is what you can do with a dedicated kill team. Like you can really go all in.
And this kind of goes back to what Josh was saying before about a way to get into the game, right? Mm-hmm. So you get your kill team. This is how you start off playing. And you paint those 8 models, those 10 models, and then maybe you learn how to convert something. So maybe one of the guys, you convert him, and so you can make him he's a dedicated specialist. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, right? This is kind of like the gateway into eventually getting to 40K.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where then your chapter master for your company has been modified. Right?
Every model in Kill Team should be 40K legal.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Right.
Might not be an optimal combination as Matt painfully
definitely
learned.
not
Right.
necessarily optimal.
He's
But
run
it's playable.
It's playable, and he's overcome it. But initially, he had some units where like, why does every guy have a different weapon, Matt? Because I was playing Kill Team.
But not only that, you're starting to see things crossover and things in White Dwarf.
Yeah.
For example, the White Dwarf before the one that has just come out talks about the Blackstone Fortress expansion set of characters, but then they provide rules for those guys for 40K and I believe for Kill Team as well.
Right.
And so, I think just for Kill Team now that I think about it. And so you're going to continually see, as we talked about, those boxes don't come with specialist guys.
Right.
Like all of a sudden, look, if I get this guy and this guy, I had no intention of buying that Blackstone Fortress expansion box. And I looked at that article in White Dwarf and I was like, wait a minute. Let me take a closer look at this thing.
Yeah. Are you talking about the Commissar Ogren, Chaos Commissar, Chaos Ogren?
There's the bot, the 101
the
bot.
and
the Ambot.
No, not that one. The 101 guy.
Oh, right. Yes.
The robot.
There's like a new expansion that's come out. It's just there's a bunch of chaos cultist guys in there and that kind of stuff that can all be used now in Kill Team. And when I saw that, I was like, hang on.
The non-chaos section of those models were in Combat Arena, which is the Barnes & Noble exclusive game
that's
that just
interesting.
came out.
Okay.
But it doesn't have those rules
Okay.
that you're talking about.
So my point is they're continuing to support the game. I love to see that kind of support. I like the products that I wouldn't have bought. Now I'm like suddenly, I do play Kill Team. I may use that in Kill Team. I just have a couple quick notes that I've been taking as the
Speaking
show's
of
been
support,
going.
you were saying though, we did talk about Eisenhorn, which they specifically put out Kill Team rules for Eisenhorn and White Dwarf, plus all the new Phobos stuff we touched about briefly. But
came out.
They just put that out. There is a whole new updated Astartes point list that has all
In the brand new White Dwarf.
Not only is it just the Phobos units, you can also now have an Intercessor Sergeant with a Power Fist. It's a legal 40K build out is now Kill Team legal. So some nice touches there.
And maybe we'll see if there's any new characters in the Eisenhorn TV show. Maybe they'll end up with rules for them on the tabletop.
And I don't mean to segue too far, but how cool is it that White Dwarf is now the source for all that stuff again?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
It's got to be murder
it's
on
interesting,
the
though.
tournament players.
It's interesting, though, because there were
signed
people
up.
who used to complain about that.
Yeah,
well,
right.
and there will be again.
Right.
But
now they're available digitally, so people can always get them. Yes.
Is that true?
They are.
Oh, nice.
They
I
are
didn't realize
digital
that.
again.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yep.
I'd love for them to come out with an annual too, like an annual that they collect everything for Kill Team that they put in White Dwarfs would be kind of nice.
Blood Bowl's doing it, so we'll see.
Yep.
There you go.
They may just include them in the next chapter approve also for these are White Dwarf.
Very
things.
true.
Now
That's a
they're
great
in chapter
Maybe we
approved.
need a chapter proof for Kill Team.
I heard that somewhere. That's a great idea.
Never gonna happen.
You heard it here first.
What else do we want to see? I mean, you actually tapped into one of my right off the bat, which was I want a more complex, in-depth campaign system.
Yep.
I think that would be awesome. The other thing I'd like to see, and there was a bunch of jokes going around before about, Kill Team Apocalypse, Kill Team, as the game kind
Kill
of
Team vehicles.
Kill Team
heavy
vehicles.
support.
I kind of, in a way, want some kind of like a single vehicle.
Narratively,
type
I think
thing,
that's
or-
more enjoyable than Commanders.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
A dreadnought, and now we're all dealing with a dreadnought, or maybe one giant Carnifex or something.
Right.
Like I think there's an avenue there that, again, this is not a fully formed thought in my head, but it's like there's almost like a space between where we are and what were the events at Adepticon we used to go to? The small force event.
Combat Patrol.
Combat Patrol. Like there's almost something in the middle there that, again, I know you're kind of beginning to delve into the 40K territory a little bit, but there's some great narrative options available.
I think
Absolutely.
that you shouldn't limit yourself. Go do that. I really think that we have a framework.
I agree that we can go do that.
Yeah.
I would love to see how they implement that in missions they come up with.
Yeah, I think it's great White Dwarf content.
You know what else I could do? I could create a campaign system that's more complex. You know what I'm not going to do? I don't have the time to do that.
No, I know.
Paint
I'm just
a bunch of
saying
Black
that-
Legion over there.
I'm just saying that if-
God, what do you want me?
No, I'm just saying if people are listening and they kind of go, "Oh, I love that idea of a kill team taking on a dreadnought
Nothing
or a tank."
prevents you.
Nothing prevents you from coming up. Well, I think that would be about this many points, and I think this is kind of what it should be able to do because the stat lines are pretty much 40K stat lines.
You're absolutely correct.
So,
And you know, the kill team prevents so much less of a barrier to entry to doing that. You know, with the 40K game, there is a time investment, not to mention the rule writing investment of creating an asymmetrical mission like that.
Yeah.
And I think that would be my wish list is along those same lines, Carl. My wish listing for kill team would be give me a little more asymmetry. Give me a attacker defender scenario. Give me a sieging of this. Give me some a little bit more narrative scenarios to play with that maybe help me tell that story a little bit more. But to your point, Adan, 100%, you can do that.
Yeah.
Because don't let that stop you.
because it's a much smaller investment to do it for this than it is for 40K.
Amen.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
But it sure would be cool to get a GW, just like always. You can spin it yourself. That's fun, but it's more fun. Not more fun. It is also
It's
nice.
easier.
It's easier. That's the word I wanted.
Yeah. It's more accessible.
easier. It's more
Less
accessible.
of an
to go grab
investment
it
on
off
my
the shelf.
part, to be
Less
honest.
time.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is if
Time is money.
you come up with a 40K article that does that, like say for
White
Carnifex or whatever, in White Dwarf, and they explain kind of the framework of how they did it.
Yeah.
Now that group at the Sokol Knights, now they could do that because they kind of saw how it happened. So they can create their own thing with a different model.
Right.
That's a good point.
You know, one thing we didn't touch on, and this isn't so much wish listing, is it just I feel like it's hollow to talk about kill team. Not hollow, but this is a missing point. I do not enjoy 40K multiplayer games. I don't.
Okay.
It's a 1v1 game.
You don't like 2v2.
No 2v2, no 3v3, no.
It just takes too long?
It just takes too long. It bogs the game down. It diminishes my experience. Now, Apocalypse I feel differently about, but also haven't played the new Apocalypse. Yeah. Kill Team I do not feel that way about. Kill Team
Multiplayer Kill Team
is fantastic and shocking. I've never played another tabletop war game, and I've played not as many as Adan, but quite a few. And that wasn't an age one; it was an experience.
Yes.
one. All right. But no other game has done this even vaguely as well, in my estimation. Playing a 3 or 4 player game of Kill Team is a riot.
Yeah.
And I guess if I was going to wish list off of that, more of that, please.
Yeah.
More scenarios that are for multiplayer specifically.
Yeah. Or team games or linked team scenarios, or there's a lot you can do there.
Yeah.
I just feel like that, something we didn't touch on.
Underworld is pretty fun with 3 or 4 players as well.
Disagree 100%.
Yep. All right. Fight. No. Okay.
John wins.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Peace and
Good
love.
for you, Carl.
I was speaking as you, but okay.
It's just the hair. It's just the hair.
All right. Anything else you guys want to add, or we
the one thing I'll throw in quick is basically if there's a faction out there that you're interested in, that you're already an established 40K player. Like I've always had a love of Eldar. I've had several Eldar armies since 2nd edition, but I don't currently play Eldar in 40K.
Right.
I picked up a box of Harlequins for $25, made a Harlequin kill team, went all out with the diamonds and everything like that. It was a beautiful hobby experience, a fun play style. Yeah. And now I'm not building a Harlequin army because I got that fix in Kill Team.
Got it out of your system.
And he's playing it in Kill Team.
But it's the perfect kind of way to explore that, have that hobby experience, have that gameplay variety, and the investment was very small, but it's paying dividends.
It could be even smaller if you go to the second market, right?
Absolutely.
I buy these off eBay, spray them, paint them up.
Yep.
My Ultramarine Kill Team exists for the exact same purpose. As
you hate painting Marines?
I was like, maybe I don't because I like Primaris Marines so much because I think their design's amazing.
Yeah.
And then painted up that team and went, Cool. Nope. Good. Done.
Still confirmed, much like my wine tasting. Yeah, I don't like wine. Let me go taste wine. Yep, still don't like wine.
Yeah, I am sure that
I'm with you.
Don't enjoy painting.
But you gave it a try.
But I did, and I love playing with them, and I got them, and they're fun, and I like when Josh rolls poorly on his invulnerable saves.
That has not changed.
All right, so we're going to take a break. We'll be right back to close out the show. All right, and we're back, and Josh is blowing into microphones for some reason.
It's dog hair.
Oh, it's actually cat hair.
Oh, all right.
That's okay. You're not allergic to cats, are you?
Slightly. It's fine.
Well, inhale it deeply. Okay, so I think we've kind of covered every point we want to cover around this.
God, I hope so.
Okay. I still say I very much enjoy playing Kill Team. It was fun to actually go out to Nova Open and have Jeff actually play Kill Team, and I think it was his first experience playing Kill Team. He's like, "This is really fun." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I've been saying."
Kidding.
You know,
the game was made for Jeff.
oh, super made for Jeff. And after playing him, I was like, I need some of these push to fit Reavers because those guys are really good.
Yeah, they are.
So, as usual, we have a Facebook page. We have a Facebook group. Please leave us reviews on iTunes. We read all those. We've launched a new website because the old template became outdated. So I had to launch a whole new website there, which is great. Still the same old content. It's just all in a new format, which is fantastic. And we have a Patreon if you're interested in hearing additional independent characters content. In fact, we're recording this on a Friday. I just released yesterday episode 7 from
007.
From the didn't even make that joke. And I missed out because James Bond, one of my favorite characters. We're still releasing content out there too, and there's other benefits to joining that as well. So, Adan, you got something you want to add there?
Yeah, just one point as somebody who moderates the Facebook group. If you invite somebody to join the Facebook group, especially if they're not a listener, please have them answer the questions.
Well, I think they actually don't get posed the questions if you invite them directly.
No, I'm saying is don't add them.
Right.
Tell them to go.
Tell them go add themselves.
To go add the questions because the three of us who are moderating don't have a lot of time during the day, and so if the questions are not answered, it's an automatic deny.
Yep. We're just declining those outright,
So
just because
answer the questions.
the reality is, if somebody really is determined to join the group and they'll answer the questions, we'll let them in. It's totally great.
Yeah.
And we recognize that is a bit of a weakness in terms of you can't just invite your friend to join.
But we didn't design Facebook.
But yeah, we didn't design Facebook. Had we, I doubt I would have this podcast right now. That being said, it's a great community.
Yeah.
It's really been a lot of fun. And when you join the Patreon at the $5 or $10 level, you get access to the Discord channel as well, which when we do live shows, we can pull people from there and have them join the show, which is a lot of fun.
I've really been enjoying the
Jody's idea.
specialist game conversations there for especially Adeptus Titanicus.
It's great.
Constant.
It's the only spot you can talk to Matt too.
also true.
Which he loves. He loves it as well.
Cool. All right. You guys got anything else you want to add? Well, thank you for listening to episode 195 of the Independent Characters. I recognize it had been a while since we came out with a full episode, but things are settling down now, so we're looking to get back on schedule. So until next time, this is Carl.
This is Josh.
This is Jody.
This is Adan.
And we're coming to you from the Astronomicon, where there may be no I in team, but there is an I in Kill Team.
Nice. And variety is the spice of life.
And sometimes you just feel like a little war.
And where we love it when a plan comes together.
We'll talk to you next time. This episode of The Independent Characters is protected by the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find information on the front page at theindependentcharacters.com.